Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call us back to order for our regular session of the North Andover School Committee, Thursday night, October 9th. We are returning from executive session. Let's stand for the pledge. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, Mr. Brown, we do not have minutes ready for tonight. We'll have them next time.
Correct. Michelle did not have time to prepare them, so I had nothing to review.
That's perfectly fine. We'll do 2 sets next time. Thank you. We have a grant, Safe and Supportive School Grant. Superintendent.
We do have a grant. We were awarded a $10,000 grant. It came from the Healy Driscoll administration. They had $161,918 in state funds. They were awarded to 18 school districts and 38 schools to strengthen and safe and supportive learning environments. Michelle O'Leary, our Director of Social Emotional Learning, worked with some of our NAM staff to write this grant for $10,000. A lot of this funding will be used to support the social emotional work that is happening at North Andover Middle School. In your packet is the letter congratulating us from Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll.
Thank you, Superintendent Lathrop. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we accept the $10,000 grant.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Sams. Any discussion? Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Accepted 5-0. Louine,
Hello.
how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing well. So very nice to see you.
It's great to hear.
What do you have to share with us tonight?
All right. So we have somewhat of a lengthy report, and
Good.
then as requested, we do have some ideas and comments regarding the budget directives. But Ali should be here by then and talk about those. So I'll start with the student report.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead. Freshman class elections were held on October 1st. The new class board for the class of 2029 is Lillian Allison, Quintus Chen, Tara Van Cheesforen, and Michael Wilson. Sports have had their senior nights. Now senior banners line Main Street. The NAM 6th grade open house happened last night, October 8th. The senior class picture is happening on October 15th during the school day. NOS homecoming is next week, October 17th. The last day to buy tickets is October 15th. They are $20, and the dance lasts from 6:30 to 9:30. Spirit Week is next week. The days are PJ Day, Jersey Day, Throwback Thursday, and class colors on Friday. The colors are the same as years prior. The freshmen are gray, sophomores white, juniors red, and seniors black. The PSAT is October 18th, so that'll be an opportunity for juniors to possibly get a National Merit Scholarship or letter of commendation. NESBA on October 11th. This Saturday is having their marching band competition. This is a great opportunity to see what the school's marching band and color guard does, and there are volunteer hours available. So the links for volunteering, note that student and adult volunteers are welcome. The links can be found on Ms. Holman's latest update. So the marching band drum major is Travinsky Theodore, and color guard captains are Caden Clough and Maddie Ashworth. And then there's a shout out in here, Anna Hurst and Tess Lister for singing the national anthem. 10th grade health screenings were last week. Grade 9 will have SPIRT and scoliosis screenings later in the year. You are allowed to opt out. You, again, check Ms. Holman's email for the emails and numbers you can contact to do that. So another note is that clubs are in high gear after the club fair. So just 2 examples that we have are how future medical professionals had the largest showing in 2 years. So apparently the classroom was packed, like 20 plus people.
Medical professionals?
Future Medical Professionals Club, yeah. And then Writing Club is already on their first theme for the year, which is a collection of works about Market Basket.
I have many thoughts.
Yep, we got there. Do you want to start with FAFSA?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm late. I
You're
ran
perfectly
here
fine.
from swim.
You're here before you were supposed to talk, so you're on time.
Yeah, it was great. So FAFSA has opened. Students seeking financial aid should check it out. And even students who may not find it worthwhile should consider looking at it because it has some scholarships that are great to take into account. And make sure to check if the school you're applying to requires the CSS, College Scholarship Service profile as well. And early decision and early action deadlines are coming up. The big one is November 1st, but we've all had deadlines as early as October 15th. And the musical Grease has begun having rehearsals. And right now they're just doing musical rehearsals, but it's great.
I just wanted to do
Grease
a
light.
quick note on FAFSA. It wasn't worded too well. There aren't like any scholarships through FAFSA itself, but sometimes when you apply to a certain school, their institutional scholarships will consider your FAFSA. So it's still worth filling out for everyone. And yeah, that's about it for the report.
Quick question.
Yeah, of course.
Early decision deadline's coming up. If you're going to apply early decision and your deadline is November 1st, how far in advance do you need to actually be done so you can get your stuff to the guidance counselor so they can do their thing?
So,
You need to have that done by
like,
October.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So November 1st is not really November 1st. It's actually
yeah,
before
so you
November
have to turn in your transcript release form a month in advance.
You can keep writing your supplementals till
Yeah.
then, though. And
Yeah,
hopefully the website doesn't crash the night before. But
but it will, so do it in
yeah,
advance.
definitely do it at least a weekend before.
And it also sounds like Ms. Holman's email has a lot of really important information that everyone should go back and read.
Yes,
A second time, not a first, but a second.
of course.
Even a third.
Even third. And we're going to do budget directives later on. You have things to share. Are you going to be here at that point, or do you want to share them now and we can take note of them?
I'll be here.
Okay.
Fear not.
Well, I'll make sure that you have an opportunity to share those things. Thank you. Other questions?
Yeah. Is there any concern of having the PSAT the day after homecoming, like students being able to get enough rest and be prepared?
So homecoming's ending at 9:30 this year,
Okay.
which in past years it's ended at like 11:30. So that'll probably be
Be
fine.
helpful. Okay.
Yeah.
And where will we be able to find this collection of works on Market Basket?
Oh, okay. So the thing about writing club, well, I'm in charge of it, and what we sort of came up with is that every month or two we'll pick our own theme, and part of it is like, since we do have different clubs when it comes to writing at the school, some are more reporting based, like the wall, and others like writing club are more on techniques and ideas. So we sat down, the group of us, and we pitched different ideas like school lunch or Market Basket or Baskin Robbins. And right now we're sort of figuring it out because it is the first year that we're trying this, so we might do some sort of website about it, and then talk to Ms. Holman about how we can maybe integrate that with the school website. At the very least, we will have a maraud of works. So I mean, the goal with these collections is that since writing is so expansive, we want to support anyone's writing niche. So sure, you have Market Basket, but there are lots of subtopics within that. So like the ones that I'm doing personally, I am interviewing an assistant manager there to just get an idea from like the employee perspective. And I will shout out the assistant manager. He's not actually at this Market Basket, but he works at a different Market Basket. Brody Wadka, who's actually a student at our school. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Awesome.
And he's working as a manager,
Assistant manager.
system manager.
Wow.
Good for him.
I know.
What about if you have thoughts about the new layout and people's inability
That's
to navigate it?
Exactly. So
Confusion
that's
that then ensues that you have a new.
yeah. One of my friends.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, one of my friends, Yashua Sayava, he's looking more at the like social science regarding market layout and sort of like, you know, how they put the dairy in a certain spot, and then there's also this idea that you sort of walk the perimeter in a shop, and then we're sort of like, obviously we're going to look into the context of North Andover's Market Basket and see how that's affecting people. And then it's sort of become like a cultural phenomenon at North Andover High School. Lots of students are talking about just going there just to grab a sub, or it's like super worth it.
Yeah, like today I drive a carpool to swim and I was like, guys, let's go study at Market Basket before we have practice.
Market Cafe is in
The Market Cafe, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
They have soft serve.
I know. It's dangerous.
Any other questions or queries for our lovely students and or comments on Market Basket?
Do we have a date for performances of Grease?
What is? It's a long weekend in January. It's the National Service Weekend. I don't remember what
It
it is.
must be Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
Day
Martin
Monday.
Luther King.
Martin Luther King
weekend.
weekend.
January 19th.
Be there.
Third Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I'm head of hair and makeup. Be there.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun for Grace.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm waiting for my part, Ally.
Thank you very
Talk to him
much.
soon.
I can rock a poodle skirt.
Are you playing, is it Blanche?
Oh, I could have said the ding, ding, ding
Yeah,
lady.
that would have been great. Time for public comment. No? I would like to say, public comment-ish. We learned this past week that one of the students at NAMS is ill, Savannah, and I wanted to extend on behalf of the committee our thoughts and our prayers for her and her family and a speedy recovery as she endures some new treatments the next month or so. So, moving on to farmers market update. Mr.
So-
Moskovich and Ms. Cormier.
Yeah, so we had a community chat it's 2 weekends ago at the farmers market. It was the last farmers market of the season for those of you who went. The North Andover farmers market is pretty amazing. We didn't have a lot of traffic, but we were there. We had a couple of people stop by for conversation. We will keep doing the community chats as opportunities arise, and would love.
All 5 of us are making an effort to do this, and people who want to talk to us, make suggestions, even rare as it might be, praise, we're available.
Yep. And we'll keep doing and trying to find different ways too of meeting people where they're at. It's hard too for people to make special time to come to. Everybody is so busy, but just trying to be at different events and being available, as they happen. So we will keep doing this.
Well, we did have pretty good traffic at the Fall Festival. A lot of people came
Yep.
by.
And you should have name tags by the next meeting. Michelle's ordered them. They came in. They're nice. They're magnetic, so you could take them on and off your clothing. She's just printing out your names.
Perfect. Thank you.
In the same vein as community chats and being out there with the public, we've continued to go to the open houses. I went to the kindergarten and the ABBECC last week and this past Tuesday. It was wonderful. Mr. Moskovich and I were at the middle school last night. My official job is to stand and wave and say hello to everybody.
Which he did very well.
I'm
by
very
the way.
good at it. And thank you for the principals for having name tags for us. I forgot to turn mine in at the end of the day, but I just gave it to Mr. Gonsalves so he can hold it for next week. But those have been wonderful as well.
I should say it was fun meeting all the teachers.
Mhm.
They were cheerful, knowledgeable. It's very interesting having them talk about their students and how they think about what they're doing. And middle school is sort of unique in that way, and you have teams of teachers. And the team I was at, and I'm not sure it was the same at the others, but it's clear they really are working as a team. This isn't just a name, that they really are talking to each other all the time.
It's the wonderful thing about middle school and the difference between that and a junior high,
Yeah.
the team
Right,
approach.
Exactly.
Upcoming school events. We have an enormous
Yes.
list of them.
Do you want to click on that, Ms. Sando? So, so a lot of these events, well, I'll give a lot of props to our middle school principal because he's here. But in general, he does a good job of putting things on the district website calendar. We are going to work, and the high school does as well. She's here as well. We are going to be working on trying to use the district calendar on our website a little bit better so that folks can go there, and every school has a different color, and then there's all events. But we also pulled together some of the things that are going on. There's an all-district PTO meeting tomorrow here at Central Office. This is the PTO presidents or the PTO boards that will be meeting with myself and Ms. Cormier. It's an opportunity for the PTOs to come together, share some information, and then opportunity for us to join them, ask questions, and also give some information. I think we already heard about the competition, the NESBA competition. That's the band competition. That's on the 11th.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yes.
So I know they are still looking for parent volunteers. If anyone is looking for something to do on Saturday, I'm volunteering. I'll be there. I'll be accepting tickets, I believe. So they're still looking and need the community support to help make this happen.
Excellent. It's a fun event. Bands from all over come. It's a great night. Knights on the Run this year, so just a reminder, the 5K race is not happening this year because of the construction around town, but the kids' race is happening at 7:30 a.m. Is it 7:30? Is that right?
Yeah, I think they're registering at
7:30, yep, at North Andover High School. Schools are closed on the 13th. ABECC is having their first trunk or treat. They're giving that a try this year. On the 15th, the class of 2026 does their class photo. I think they do it on the football field. Excellent. Sargent School's having a fun run. North Andover Middle School has an open house coming up. Grade 8 will be, they have their band night at the varsity football game. That's the homecoming weekend. As we heard, we have homecoming. I think I wrote that twice. Thompson has a fall festival and a movie night coming up. The PSATs, as you heard about. We have an early release. We have another 8th grade open house. The Franklin School is having a fun run. On the 23rd of October, something called Rainforest Reptile Show for grade 2 will be here in North Andover. That's sponsored by the Enrichment Council. The Enrichment Council is a group that comes together to look at bringing some different programming to all of the schools. And this is, I think, one of the first things that are going out this year, so that should be fun for our 2nd graders. Sargent and Atkinson are also having a trunk or treat. On October 29th is our Celebrating Teachers Night. That's when we have the night where we formally induct the teacher into the Teacher Hall of Fame. This year there are 2 teachers that were awarded that award, and we'll be hosting it again at the Historical Society in North Andover. There is a World Language Honors Induction Night that's coming up at the end of October. And then, so that says 11-1. I just want to draw attention to the survey that folks have received. There is a committee that's working on the opioid settlement survey, and they asked us just to remind you all that the town of North Andover is receiving money from companies involved in the opioid crisis to support prevention, treatment, and recovery. Even if you have not been directly impacted in your household, your input matters because your friends, your families, and your neighbors have. Every household should have received a postcard that had a QR code on it. They're asked, please take the survey if you can. It's also available on the town website. There's a little QR code there. I checked it. It does work. And you can find paper copies if you'd like at the North Andover Senior Center, the Town Hall, and the library. And all those surveys are due on November 1st.
Actually took it today. I would say 5 minutes or less. It's pretty fast to go through the questions.
Excellent. And then in your packet, I didn't put it on there, but the North Andover Historical Society has some events coming up on Friday, October 10th. They have something called Needle Felting Ghosts. It's fun. The wool sculpting craft is great for anybody over 7 with some patience and dexterity.
You have a pole and you have to go like this with the thing, and it goes into the wall. It's good.
It's awesome. Also on the 10th from 7:30 to 8:30, they're doing Monster House. It's a PG. It's a movie. They have a great little movie theater if you haven't been. On October 18th at 2 o'clock, the Massachusetts Nation, an afternoon with Thomas Spirit Tree Green. Will be at, join the tribal council members at the Historical Society.
Question.
Yes.
Mr. Brown probably knows this. Is there a rain date for Nights on the Run?
It's a good
That's
question.
great question. Traditionally, they do it the next day, but I'm not sure that, I'd have to check.
Because it's on a Sunday.
It's on a Sunday,
Yes.
yeah, so, but Monday's
Monday's
the
a
holiday.
Okay.
I mean, normally we'd push it a day, but I'm not, I would just suggest people look at the NAAA website for that. It probably says something there, and if not, you could launch an email to them. That's a good question. I think they try to do it unless it's really bad.
Yeah.
And as long as we're talking about that, the track coach at Merrimack does a terrific job. And we're grateful to have him. He comes and the kids love him, and he's very animated. So.
And the Merrimack College cross-country kids come too
Yes,
as well.
right. His athletes come and help with the race.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're going to go on to our presentations for the evening. Up next are school improvement plans. Ms. Holman and Mr. Gonsalves, would you like to join us, maybe both or one at a time at the table, whatever you would like. Superintendent, would you like to?
I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Ando to
Ms. Ando?
introduce our principals and get us started.
Welcome, my friends. Sorry. Last week, we went over the district improvement plan. This meeting and the next meeting, we will go over our individual school improvement plans. And our 6 to 12 team is here, and I love it. They're a team. If you look up, let me put the slideshow. You'll see the number 63, which is the number of years my 6 to 12 admin team has been in education. And, you know, I used to play a director of humanities on TV, but you can notice that there's only 2 of them. And so we are blessed and lucky, and our kids should be grateful to have an amazing team of principals in our 6 to 12. Both George and Deb are an honor to work with, and I learn from them every day. So I'm excited for them to bring you your their plans tonight that we've been working hard on. And I'm just excited that they're leading and responsible for kids in our district. They are amazing people. And so good to see you both.
Do you want to do one school and then we can pause for questions after that and then the other school? Does that sound fair? So we'll wait until after. Who's going to go first?
I think
Mr. Gonzalez is going to go
Yes.
first?
We'll go in chronological order by age.
So just a couple of,
Wow.
Student age.
Wow.
I don't know what you were all thinking.
So we will we'll hear from Mr. Gonzalez. We'll wait until the end of his presentation, then we'll ask some questions, and then we'll go on to the high school.
You know, you guys don't look a day over 61 years of experience.
You're getting close.
so just so you know, for your packet, in your packet, the high school was first and then the middle school. So just sort of move to the middle school one.
And they look remarkably similar because they have the same mascot on the front. So
Yep. And
find
then,
your middle school one.
the principals have some slides and they're going to talk about your goals. The school committee members have the actual complete whole plan so that you can see other elements of that. Yes, details, that's the word.
Just to review, this is our district goals around HQIM and equity, multi-tiered system of support, and budgeting and equity. Those are our whole North Andover Public District goals. And again, tonight, you are going to get an overview. I don't know if this is 10,000 feet, but 10,000 foot view. And you have the actual plans. The slides are going to be, just like Pam said, the 10,000 foot view. You have the actual plans with much more detail in your packet. And so with that, I will pass it over to George.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having us tonight. Kristen, thank you for the kind words. You're supposed to wait 5 seconds to say thank you. That was like 35 seconds. And I just want to echo appreciation for both you and Pam and your leadership as well. It's a pleasure to work with and for you both. So looking at the district goals, HQIM and equity, multi-tiered systems of support, and budgeting and equity, obviously you're going to see some repetition in the NAMS goals. We are starting at a 30,000 foot view in what are we trying to achieve for all students, and then the next 2 goals will be how is it that we're going to work on that and achieve that, thinking about all students and drilling down to the students with the most need. So we're taking on a very aggressive goal in that we would like to see the percentage of our students meeting or exceeding MCAS, on MCAS to increase by 3% from 2025 to 26. And you have the numbers there. The data is no longer embargoed by the state. It was released at the very end of September, so it's all public. And these are the percentages. We'd like to move our ELA scores from 49% to 52, meeting or exceeding, math from 55 to 58, science from 54 to 57, and civics 56 to 59. Additionally, we administer the MAP, Measures of Academic Progress, fall, winter, and spring in both reading and math. We'd like to see a 2% increase in the students scoring in the 61st to 100% range, which parallels with MCAS meeting or exceeding expectations. An increase of 2% from fall to winter, an increase of 2% from winter to spring. In looking at comparing our MCAS scores from 2004 to 2005, we do show improvements. We'd like to see more. We'd like to continue those improvements. The improvements we've seen from 2024 to 25 are progress toward the improvement targets as assigned by DESE. We've shown increases in our MCAS average composite scaled scores in English language arts and math and science. We've shown a slight growth in the mean student growth percentile, also known as SGP, in English and in math. And we've exceeded our target toward attaining English language proficiency for our English learners and former English learners. And I'm also happy to say that we have improved dramatically in reducing chronic absenteeism, both for all students, lowest performing students, and high need students. So although we have work to do, I think it's important to highlight the growth that we are showing and we hope to continue to show over time. So how are we going to go about tackling this goal, working toward this goal? What we're going to do, as you can imagine, is we're going to be reviewing MCAS accountability data. We have set protocols we use as leaders and with our teacher teams to identify trends, patterns, strengths, and areas of growth. We're going to be looking at last year's MAP data because we're still waiting to finish the MAP assessment window, so we have our fall scores to also identify those trends, patterns, strengths, and areas of growth. Once we do have the MAP data for the fall, we now can project what 2% looks like for the winter and set goals for that. We have never worked closer than we have before with district and school leaders to really plan coordinated, dedicated professional development for our staff. Although we have plans for the entire year, all of those plans are subject to change based upon what benchmarks we're hitting or not hitting. We're really focused on data and goals this year. We're looking at curricular units, lessons, assessments, and student work, again, using different protocols with our teachers, the deeper learning protocols. We have a partnership with DESE, and we're entering into deeper learning work again. This will be the third year we're doing this work at the secondary level. And we're also observing and providing feedback to staff more than ever before. We're in those classrooms a lot. We try to teach the students, don't say hi to me all at the same time while the teacher's teaching. I'm not here to disturb the class. So hopefully I'll get in classes enough that they'll get bored of me and not acknowledge me anymore. I always feel guilty. I'm disrupting the class. And then the outcomes for goal 1, obviously, we will see those MCAS scores, which won't come until very late summer for us and late September for the public. We will have those MAP scores before the end of the year. And in all of this work, we're assessing our needs of our students, and we will be presenting, I imagine, staffing recommendations to support our teachers and also resource recommendations to support our work at the end of, or whenever it's appropriate to share that. But we want to rely on the data, identify what we need, what do we need to get there, and if it means asking for things, we want to ask for things. So I'm preparing you for that. The next goal, how do we go about hitting these marks? The next goal is our HQIM goal. So we're looking to align Tier 1 instruction to grade level standards grounded in HQIM, high quality instructional materials, and or other resources when HQIM isn't available. So to that end, what does that look like? The math department, who uses the HQIM of illustrative math curriculum, they're going to continue to study, plan, revise, and implement the illustrative math curriculum. There's always room to grow. The curriculum teaches the grade level standards. What it doesn't always do is accommodate and make those scaffolds necessary for the students in front of us. You follow a recipe, but you change that recipe based on the needs of your family, based on the needs of the people who are enjoying that food, because you want them to enjoy it and you want them to get all those important nutrients. So that's the work of our teachers. The social studies department, they're going to be adding 2 units from investigating history this year. I can't tell you they're going to stop at 2. Many of our teams are in whole hog. And we've only required that they teach 2 units in this first year of a multi-year plan. In 8th grade, we've adopted and teach the civics curriculum, but it doesn't mean we're all set. It means we continue to study, plan, revise, and implement that curriculum to best meet the needs of our students. Civics MCAS data is now released, so we have data to see what we're doing well on and what we need to improve. English departments, they're going to be implementing 2 units from arts and letters. That's the adopted HQIM. And the science department is going to continue to study, plan, revise, and implement the current curriculum, which is a lot of teacher homegrown, while exploring HQIM options to see what's out there and see what's best for us. And in other departments, HQIM may or may not be available, and we need to start with the frameworks. What is it that we're supposed to be teaching students, and what resources are available that will help us in that effort? And we were able to preserve, despite staffing cuts, we were able to preserve 1 collaboration time during the day every 5 days, and that's for our grade level content teachers to meet for 1 period. So our English, math, science, social studies, and world language teachers, once every 5 days, they get to meet to plan and review curriculum, lessons, units, and administrators are attending lots of those meetings where we're looking at data and planning together. And so the outcomes for this goal will be that all grades 6 to 8 students will continue to be taught the illustrative math curriculum. Grades 6 and 7 social studies students will be taught a minimum of 2 units from investigating history. Grade 6 to 8 English students will be taught a minimum of 2 units from art and letters. And again, we will be sharing any staffing recommendations we have to better support HQIM and resource recommendations as well, especially if we are able to identify a science HQIM curriculum. There will be a cost associated with that. And then we talked about overarching goals of student performance. We talked about, we talked about the HQIM instructional materials. Even with HQIM instructional materials that are focused on the grade level standards, we do have many students with more intense needs than can be simply accommodated for through a very strong curriculum. So that's where we have to identify the multi-tiered systems of support and equity for our students, identifying, and to do this is what we set out to do this year. We want to identify every existing tier of academic and social emotional support, how we are doing it at NAMS, what is available. We want to identify simultaneously the current needs of our students through all the various measures, both academically, socially, and emotionally. And despite whatever we have or don't have available, we do want to try to increase student access to supports. It isn't just a matter of hiring additional staff. It could very well be that. But utilizing the current staff we have, can we schedule in any other flexible ways to better meet the needs of our students? And we had a great meeting today with Lynn O'Neill. We created a literacy task force, that's what it's called, and we're looking at literacy at the middle school and trying to see what we can put in place now to better support our students once we identify which students need what. And then there could be recommendations coming out of that. So really, this says it all. Identify existing tiers of academic and social emotional support, identify the current needs of our students, identify what possible supports we can put in place now, and make recommendations for what supports we need to better meet the needs of our students. We're going to do this through looking at the student assistance team procedures. We're going to make sure our teachers are utilizing DCAP in the classroom so we can ensure the Tier 1 supports are in place. Our guidance counselors are working to support morning meeting routines, which is often where we put our SEL curriculum. We've increased morning meetings from twice a month to 3 times a month. And we are currently working to identify current Tier 2 and Tier 3 literacy options for our students to build capacity. We're also going to be progress monitoring frequently, which we've always done, but we're going to have data meetings with those folks every 6 weeks to really track individual student growth and see what we need to change along the way to better support their needs. And we're also working with our special education staff to train them in how to best meet the needs of our students, specifically those with reading goals, through Learning Center. So we're really digging in to try to best meet the needs of our students this year. And the outcomes, identify what we have, identify the needs of our students, identify how we can provide them supports with our current structures and resources, and then make recommendations for what we might need, both in staffing and resources, to better meet the needs of our students. So I hope I was able to tell a story with those 3 goals.
You did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what we will do is we'll go back to the beginning and we'll talk about the goals in order, and we're welcome to ask Mr. Gonsalves questions about goal 1, then we'll go on to goal 2 and goal 3 in that order, obviously. And just one note, Mr. Gonsalves mentioned a couple times that he was looking at the MCAS data to make some of these determinations. We will have a full MCAS data presentation to the school committee on November 6th, which seems a little weird that we hear all the data after the school improvement plans, but we also need to hear the improvement plans earlier, sooner than later, so that they can get started on the work that they do. So that is why that choice was made. That information you'll get on the 6th. So goal number 1, anyone have any follow-up questions for Mr. Gonsalves? Mr. Brown, then Ms. Courtney?
Beat you. You can go first.
I'll call on her first next time.
I'm in the first box.
Yeah.
So goal 1. So thank you very much, Principal Gonzalez. This was fantastic. So question, and I'll be honest, it also bridges a little bit to goal 3. But we talk about the first step, the improvement for our MCAS scores being 3%, or is the goal for 3%? So one is
Increase
to increase by 3%. Yeah, not to be 3%, to increase it 3%.
God, please. Yeah.
So my question is kind of why 3? And then how does that break? Is there different items that you're tracking for the different subgroups that you then pointed out in goal 3, where there's kind of different subgroups are achieving differently? Is that 3 broken out differently? Where did the 3 come from?
And before you answer, just kind of piggyback, because
Please do.
It's right on the top of that. And so you can be, if we want to answer for 2 questions, can you rationalize for us those numbers? In other words, 3% to some people might not seem like a giant leap, and to others it may be a huge leap. And so help us understand its relative meaning.
Yeah.
Is, I guess, what I mean.
So let me start by saying this. The reason why I absolutely adore middle school is growth. We see 10-year-olds leave us as 14-year-olds, and the growth we see in them, academically, socially, emotionally, maturity is amazing, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to be a part of that. So when I think about improving, it's really about growth. The name of the game is growth. Sometimes we don't hit our goals, but are you improving? Are you showing growth? Are you on a trajectory to move the needle? So that's really what we want to see. We want to see NAMS continue to move forward, improve scores, and not do what has been done long term, which is we go up 1 year, we go down the next, we go up 1 year, we go down the next. Because once you go up, now it's harder to achieve the next growth marker. So you go down. What that really means is we're staying relatively flat. That's what it really means. So we would like to see an upward trend, and we'd like to keep that upward trend. So why 3%? Well, we started with 5%. And then I looked at the data over the last maybe 10 years, and I thought, wow, that's not going to happen. And what you have to do to move an entire school 5% is Herculean. And even the work we're putting in this year, we will see its fruits. We will. Whether or not we see it after 1 year when teachers are teaching these units for the first time, opening it out of the package and delivering, I don't know, but I do have a lot of faith that our teachers have amazing rapport with the students. They genuinely care. It's noticeable. And if they're given the right tools, they can do great things. So we think 3 is bold, but we think it's within range. Within range. I'm not saying we're going to hit it, but we want to set something bold. And we set that number by looking at, again, the last 10 years, seeing our ups and downs. And we have seen years where it went up more than 3%. We've seen years where it went down 5%. So let's see if we can just grab it and go. Yeah. So that's where maybe I didn't answer every question. That's how we came up with the 3%. No, and subgroups. You asked about subgroups. Yeah. So I was like, how are we going to fit this on one slide if I start putting all the subgroup data? We look at subgroup data too.
So
Absolutely, we look at subgroup data. But we're thinking about, let's start with the whole school first. Yeah. And when we're at 90% meeting or exceeding expectations, then the problem becomes which little subgroup isn't showing enough growth. Then we'll focus on that. Yeah.
So is it fair to say that you sort of, I don't want to demean it, but you, in a sense, you kind of did an average, right, of looking at 10 years worth of data and to see what a reasonable push goal would be.
And that's a push goal.
Yeah.
This is a push goal.
No, I think it's helpful to understand that, right? Because in some, I get it. That's good.
Yeah.
You got it.
Thank you. Other questions on goal 1? Mr. Moskovich?
So I first smiled at your comment about what the students do when you go in to a classroom. I've gone into classrooms quite a bit, and the first thing I look at is what happens when the principal comes in. And the ideal thing to happen is absolutely nothing. So if that happens, it's a sign, A, that you and your teachers have taught them to keep working on what matters, but also that you're there very often. Mm-hmm. In terms of the goals, so your goal is in terms of the percent of students meeting or exceeding expectations. I wonder about the percent of students that are in the not proficient as opposed to the partially proficient. Because I'd be interested, even if, for those students, they're probably never going to get to proficient, but it matters a lot whether they make progress.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be interested in having your goal and your report look at that as well, how successfully you move kids at the bottom. In terms of, I am, as people are tired of hearing, a fan of longitudinal data. If your friends in the elementary schools, I'm being a little cynical, but just to make the point, if they were to succeed in increasing the proficiency of the students entering the middle school, you might be able to achieve an increase of 3% without making any difference in your teaching. And the point is, what really matters is, are you increasing them relative to where they started when you got them? Right? There's a sort of implicit assumption in what you said, which is that they always start at the same place. And so an increase of 3% means an increase that you and your teachers had something to do with. But it's really more meaningful if you look at that in terms of where were when they started and what did you do with them.
And we very much look at so not only do we track how our 6th grade did last year, the year before, we look at how the 6th grade did, how the 5th grade did, how they did with us in 6th grade, how those same kids did in 7th grade, how those same kids did in 8th grade. And I'm picturing the graph we use, and it's a different color for 6 on the diagonal and 7 on the diagonal and 8. We're looking at that. Because you do have classes where, for whatever reason, there's a little dip, and you can get down because the class that just left you, they did really well. But when you look at that class that had the dip, hold on, look at how they did in 6th grade. They actually went up a lot. They just didn't do as well as the class that you just sent to 8th grade. I'm talking about 7th grade. Yeah.
So as I was listening to your teachers and sort of thinking about this the other day, you can think of your school as it's obviously more complex than this, but a simplification is you have 2 jobs. You're teaching them science and math and history and so on. And in some cases, you're teaching them to read and do basic math. What the MCAS measures is only the second goal. Well, all right, some exception with the civics, but it's not a criticism of your teacher to say they spend a lot of time thinking about the substance goal. And I'm kind of, and the middle school model makes a lot of sense to me, particularly the way you've done it, where every team has one or two teachers whose job is to give extra assistance to kids, and that makes a lot of sense, and they work closely together. So I'm curious, how do you and your teachers think about that? That is, the teacher needs to move, let's say the history teacher needs to teach them more about whatever it is, the American Revolution, but also for the kids who are way behind in reading or math, you need, how does that work? How do you
And that's
think
the
about
third
both of
goal.
those
That's
things?
the multi-tiered system of support. As our teachers are teaching the high-quality instructional materials, the curriculum, they can already identify, knowing the students, how students are going to struggle with the curriculum if they roll it out exactly the way it is. So that's the work, is the creating the scaffolds to pre-teach vocabulary, for example, for the students to get a closed paragraph when everyone's getting just a paper with lines on it and they're writing the essay. The objective and the learning goal has to be the same for all students. How they get there can be accommodated for them.
Well, I think that's a slightly different issue. So let me go at this a somewhat different way. I'm delighted to hear you're doing data meetings, and then the question is, what happens? So in the data meetings I've been familiar with is, and I'm not necessarily saying this model is better than yours, but just it's the one in my head. Usually the principal runs them, and the first thing he or she does is find one or two kids in every class who really moved, and turns to the teacher and said, you know, I see that George really made great progress. I really appreciate that, and I wonder if you can share with which is really important because it makes it clear this is not a gotcha exercise.
Absolutely.
And then the principal goes on and says, but you know, there's two kids in your class who really haven't moved very much. Can you tell us what you think the problem is, and is there any way we can help you? But also, is there I'm curious, maybe this is new and you haven't done this, but what happens next? Like you identify, say, I don't know, how many kids are in a team? Is it about 100?
115.
Yeah, okay. So suppose that at some data meeting you identify 10 kids who have fallen really behind. Then what?
Then we look at individual students and see
Right,
what they're
but
good.
I mean, I guess the goal would be, what do these kids need? How do we get it to them?
Mm-hmm. That's the simple question. And then we work together collaboratively with all available stakeholders, and sometimes we bring in other stakeholders to see what we can do. We already have students who are exhibiting behaviors or academic challenges, and we've already brought together in a room different people depending on the student, and together we're coming up with plans and strategies and interventions, putting those in place, meeting again, how is it going, trying to find that sweet spot for growth. And if we're seeing the growth, keep going, keep this dosage the way it is, and then when it stops working, do something else.
So that would be one of the strengths of the team model, is that the 4 or 5 or 6 teachers can all think together about what each one of them, what role each one of them would play in helping a particular student.
And it's important that everyone's working together, so the student's not getting mixed messages, mixed strategies, different. That's what makes middle school special.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's move on to goal 2. I had a question, Mr. Gonsalves. You talked about the time that you're able to preserve every 5 school days for grade level teams.
Yeah.
Do you have the
a grade level curriculum.
Curriculum content
Yeah, so
teams.
it's just like
The civics teachers or the math
yeah.
teachers.
Mhm.
Do you have the time is good. Do you have the support and the structure and the facilitators or the people to lead those sessions to make good use of them, or is that something we should think about in terms of budget allocations to make sure that you have stipends available for running PLCs or CPTs, however you want to call it,
So for
so that you can do that really important work of looking at data and doing action plans.
Thank you. So the curriculum directors for the district have been working hand in hand with us, and we work just as closely with Krista and Pam, and they've been wonderful. And the principals, we all divvy it up. These teachers are self-sufficient. They can meet without any curriculum or district or school leader, but we're there to support and to be a part of that. What's missing this year is we used to have team time during the day, 2 to 3 times a week. That doesn't exist during the schedule now. So teachers, they went from 2 or 3 meetings a month on team to 2 or 3 meetings a week, 45 minutes, to 2 1-hour sessions a month.
Okay.
So that's the team time now.
I guess that would necessitate why in goal 3 you have to re-examine your SAT process, so that because before your RTI or SAT process could exist in team, and now it's not as efficient.
Right, we don't have the time for it. Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions for goal 2?
Yes. Several points here. You say continue to be taught, which I'm sure is good, but the question is, if we're trying to improve something, something has to be different, right? So I'm just asking, what would you do? For example, grade 8 social studies students will be taught this, to continue to be taught the civics curriculum. What are we doing to bump that up, right?
So it's recognizing what the frameworks are asking students to do. Now we have the added measure of MCAS, and for the first time, we can actually see how the students performed on the different standards and the different skill sets, the writing. So now when we look at that data and we see how our students performed, we can then say, where was this taught this year during the curriculum? How was it taught? And like, to go back to something Ed said, we start with, wow, look at how well our students did. How did you do that? That's amazing. And then the next part of that conversation is, now look at this. This looks to be a little lower than any of our other scores. When did you teach this concept or skill? How did you teach it? And then you have conversations, and then you make refinements. And then we're going to need to, and if you see writing as an area of need, that is not one point of the year. Now we have to identify, how are we teaching writing? How often are we teaching writing? And that becomes pervasive. So our math teachers are incorporating much more writing in math than before. And that's an area we identified as a need.
Okay, so there is new data available to you that
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't have before. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions for goal 2? Moving on to goal 3. I was just wondering, identify existing Tier 2 academic and social emotional supports. I was just wondering how, I'm sure, can you tell us how you've thought about using the SST or win time or the other available time you have during the day for kids to do that Tier 2 instruction? I assume it's happening. Can you give us some examples of how you're trying to make it work?
Yeah, so one of the things, well, first of all, if you're asking specifically about SST is student success time. We were able to, because we reduced some staff as related arts teachers, specifically to this conversation, kids lost some of the related arts they used to go to, so we had to replace it because they need to be somewhere. So what we scheduled is SST, student success time, with the team teachers. We recognize it is vital. This isn't just a mixed group of kids in a study hall. So instead, we scheduled the students by team with their team teachers. So they have one every trimester in SST with one of their team teachers. We also rotate the teachers so that they see a different teacher. It was a teacher who brought that forward. I was like, didn't even recognize that, bless you. Very easy to adjust. So now you can spend time with your math teacher and your science teacher and English teacher. And it is a time for students to do work, but it's also a time for teachers to do support for students, interventions, and conversations about how they're doing. It's not necessarily a time where you really can hone in and focus in on a student, because because you do have 24, 25, 26 kids in a class. But when I think about this goal, I think about what exists outside of that. How are we scheduling our EL students? Who's getting tier 3 reading, and how many more kids could be getting it? What other ways can we be using Learning Center to better meet the reading goals of our students? That's what we're trying to identify. And our adjustment counselors too, and our school counselors. Yeah, our school counselors are assigned lunch duty every single day this year, as is a principal. So we have enough people to supervise the cafeteria. So we have to be flexible in, well, when are they going to have lunch bunches? And we're trying to figure that out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for goal 3?
Well, I'd like a follow-up question. So if you identify a student who needs, I don't know, let's say something like project rates, basic phonics, that isn't going to normally happen in the course of an English class or history class. When does that happen? And how do you do that without pulling the student away from her other classes?
Well, our students who receive, you said phonics. So
So whatever, I mean,
yeah.
something that is it's more than just helping the student
Correct.
read
Yeah.
it in a different way.
Correct.
It's a fundamental deficiency the
Yeah.
student doesn't.
Mhm.
I mean, this is a district. Some of your students are left over from when we weren't using research-based reading instruction.
Mhm.
So I imagine you have such students.
Mhm.
So then the question is, how do you find the time, or how does it work that they get extra
We
help?
do have staff members who work with those students as part of their scheduled classes. They'll see a specialized reading teacher every other day for a trimester, 2 trimesters, or the entire year. And it's
But when does the student? It's not just where's the teacher come from. What is the student? How do you get the student?
how do we
free?
identify who the students
No,
are?
no,
who
no,
need
no.
that?
How do you find time for the student to do this?
Yeah, they come out of usually a related arts or SST. We'll trade SST for the reading class the student needs, or the EL service the student needs.
Sorry, SST.
Student success time.
Oh.
If this were the 80s, let's call it study hall.
Oh,
But better.
much
But
more
better.
elegant this way.
We purposely called
Yeah.
it something different than study hall. Absolutely.
Thank
And even
you.
have objectives and criteria for what happens there. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
welcome.
being mindful of time. I want to make sure we can get to Ms. Holman as well, and to our other things on the agenda. So thank you very much.
I do just have one kind of hopefully quick question. So on all of them in the outcomes, it talks about when you'll come forward with your asks. When do we get the asks? I'm just trying to think about.
During budget season.
So it'll be,
Soon.
so soon. So we'll have it for this budget season, or is this
FY
for the next?
'27.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Holman.
Yes.
Hello, welcome.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. I echo George's thanks to district leaders, too, and to everybody on school committee, and especially Ed and Dave. You came to our back-to-school night. That was awesome to have you there. So good. So the high school has 3 goals that I will talk about, and they reflect the high school knowledge, our knowledge that we know we have work to do, and we aren't satisfied with our achievement and student data and other state data. So my approach to school improvement this year is really getting the house in order in terms of operations and curriculum as foundational layers to our work, really. So our first goal is up on the screen, and it is really at the ground level goal. It is making changes to structures and operations to promote deeper learning outcomes, and it has 3 areas. The first area is how to maximize student learning by creating really the conditions that get students into the classroom and focused. A number of things that we're doing. We will have daily presence of safety monitors inside and outside the building. The outside of the building safety monitor is new, actually. That helps keep kids in the building and safe. We will have increased daily student attendance tracking and communication to students and families. The assistant principals are leading that charge. That supports kids getting to classrooms to learn. We will have 100% implementation. We're aiming for 100% implementation of the new cell phone electronics procedures that you might remember from last spring. We revised that policy. We tightened what we have. We really got faculty to lock arms and implement wall to wall, and they really are doing that. So in the classroom, that is really keeping kids' brains on and focused, and we're getting anecdotal data that is suggesting that. And the last thing for student learning is we made some changes structurally to advisory. We will have 100% of our new advisory system implemented. We have moved from advisory meeting 1 time a month to 3 times a month, 3 times a month for shorter bursts of social emotional learning and community-based activities. So those are the structural changes, operations changes for student learning. For adult learning, changes, the goal is creating conditions for faculty to improve teaching and learning and then really trusting the faculty to run with it. We are happily implementing the district's monthly 3-hour professional development days, which really does allow deeper adult work, and it's very department-based this year in the high school. So the third part of this goal is we've had learning for students, learning for adults, and the third part is learning for everyone in the library. So we are revitalizing the library as a library learning commons, and the anchor of that is that we got Courtney Ahern as our new librarian. I know Courtney from Sargent Elementary School. She was amazing, wonderful. I convinced my very good friend, Principal Karen Leahy, to put Courtney Ahern in what Karen and I call the transfer portal, and then I scooped her up onto my team. And she is the head librarian for the high school. She is an amazing woman. She tells me to stop overplaying it. I'm not overplaying it. She's amazing. She has a number of goals. One of her goals is to increase student book circulation by 50%. Last year, we had 1,400 books checked out and circulating by kids. And to date, as of this week, we are around 600 books already out and circulating. And that has to do with how Courtney has visually sort of revamped the entrance to the library and the visibility of young adult literature. So if we continue this rate, we're going to have 4,000 to 5,000 circulated books, which is really cool. We also have for the library a goal to increase faculty use of library resources for courses by at least 50% over last year. I think we're almost close to that goal, actually. Courtney she's a magnet for kids, she's a magnet for teachers, too. She's a really good co-teacher and a peer to her colleagues, so that's going very well. And lastly, we have a library redesign committee to consider long-term opportunities in library use and layout, and also short-term opportunities, including the use of the $100,000 state earmark for a makerspace communications media space. So when Leween talked about the market basket writing, I've talked to him about that. I want that to be on the online school newspaper, and it's going to be in our communications media space. I've got lots of ideas. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is the 5,000-foot level goal, where it's the adults crafting materials for teaching and learning that then they're going to bring to the ground level in the classroom. And this has to do with making changes to curriculum and instruction to promote deeper learning outcomes and equity. A number of things that we're doing as a whole faculty is participating in multiple PD sessions to learn about the district's goals around high quality instructional materials. We are also doing course reviews for each high school course, and based on state frameworks and grade level standards, teachers and teacher teams will clarify core competencies in each course, increase common units and assessments taught. They will review student work, and they will build common midterm and final assessments. Midterms and finals, or just finals, have actually been on hiatus since COVID at the high school, and there's kind of a groundswell of adult belief that those need to come back, and it gives us a good chance to really work on that. I think midterms and finals are nice mid-year and then end-of-year markers for high school students, so that is a big project. Another one of the things we're working on as a goal is make progress on high-quality instructional materials. The high school is in the learn and prepare and investigate and select stages of the district's process. So where HQIM exists, teacher teams will explore and pilot. Those departments are ELA, math, and science. And up on the slide on the right are some of the different publishers that we are looking at: Odell Education, My Perspectives, Open SciEd, and so on. So where HQIM exists, teacher teams will evaluate products and publishers with the intent to propose adoption to the district and to the school committee. So based on what we're learning, I will also add, similar to George, included in that proposal for HQIM would be recommendations that we think would make HQIM implementation at the high school successful. Meaning, here's what's surfacing, and I think it's exciting actually. There's a lot of really smart and really incisive high school minds piloting and researching and discussing HQIM materials. Some are enthusiastically engaging, some are engaging with gritted teeth, but that's okay, that's actually quite normal. But what we're finding is that designated teachers on a grade level team are also making the units from the HQIM functional for the classroom, meaning that, for example, in Odell, we're using Odell Education, or we're looking at it in English. So for an Odell English language arts unit as presented, it's not completely teacher or classroom friendly. So designated teachers, terrific teachers at each grade level in English, are identifying the logical order of presentation of the tasks and the objectives, and they are making shared classroom slide decks that are amazing and beautiful and guides to the HQIM unit. So it's awesome work. They are awesome. I think it's related. It's George is getting the recipe right with the material. So we have ideas about when we are implementing what structure will help make that work. And lastly, under this goal is the competency determination. We will submit the North Andover High School competency determination required by the state. We are drafting that policy currently to bring to the district and state for approval. All right, that is goal 2. And goal 3 is the 10,000 foot level. It's big visions that guide us. If you remember last year, we did a portrait of a learner process. We began it, and we had a portrait of a learner goal. And the portrait of a learner is a multi-year process of reflection. It's a point-in-time look at where instruction and learning for today's kids is and how are we meeting them in this moment. If you remember last year, when I was interim principal, we did on the little roadway up there on the slide on the bottom left, that's the portrait of a learner. Last year, we did the orange bubble, beliefs about learning. We surfaced that. We also surfaced and drafted a definition of North Andover High School learning. And then this year, we plan on doing the green bubble there, which is the next step, which is identifying what are the big 6 characteristics that describe broadly the skills, competencies, and experience that a North Andover High School graduate should have. So what we found a couple weeks ago, though, was that Massachusetts Department of Ed actually did our work. They published a vision of a graduate with 6 characteristics, such as, up there on the top right, are the 6 characteristics that the state has adopted for all Massachusetts graduates. Things like being academically prepared, creative problem solvers, intentional collaborators. We can see ourselves in all 6 of those. So the work that we will do with this goal this year is to operationalize the 6 characteristics by drafting with kids and faculty I can statements. And we'll do that through sessions with students and faculty to identify those I can statements. If I am an intentional collaborator, that means I can do A, B, C, D. So that is our goal for 3.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. As before, we're going to back up. Does anyone on the committee have questions for goal 1? How modern is our library collection right now? How up to date is it, and a good thing to think about for budget is how much would it cost to make it a really good collection for kids these days?
I would love to research that. Yes.
I would love to know the answer to
yes,
that.
I'd be happy to do that for you. That's
Thank
a
you.
perfect question. I will take that task. And
More of a
Courtney-
leading question than a statement than a question.
Yeah, not modern enough, and Courtney has noticed that immediately. And there are some funds that she has to to update it, and she's done that. And those are the books that she is displaying, and the kids are rotating in and out. So it's really good. But I will work on that.
And do the kids have ready access to not paper versions, but to electronic versions and books on tape through Sora and all
Yes,
those other
through
things?
Sora,
Which
yes.
can be more economically feasible and
Yes.
more updatable?
True. Yes, we have access to that, and the kids use it.
Awesome.
Yep.
Other questions on goal 1?
Yes, and so in the electronics world, in terms of use in the classroom, right? So I know cell phones, no.
Yeah.
What about laptops?
Laptop.
And the reason I'm asking
Yeah.
is that where I work, we've implemented a no electronics policy, period, because it's been there's been research that shows that students taking notes on laptops don't do a very good job of it.
Yeah.
That when they actually keep a handwritten notebook, much more of it makes it in here.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if we have any policy about that. Are kids free to use their laptops to take notes? What's all that about?
They do. Everybody has their Chromebook. They still do use those. The teachers heavily use still Google Classroom as an instructional sort of database,
Right.
clearinghouse, right? I mean, and sometimes it's used in class. They will reference things in Google Classroom. So we are still Chromebook based. I've done a bit of reading on schools that have done what you just described, and I admire them very much.
Yeah, well, it's different. I'm at the college level, so
Yeah.
it is a different world. But I've found empirically they're paying better attention. They don't like it
Yep.
at first, but there's something to it.
Yes. Well, anecdotally, kids are saying, when I ask and when teachers ask, they are saying, yeah, I feel less distracted, and it's kind of nice being without a cell phone or feeling too much of the urge for 50 minutes. Between classes, they can look at the cell
Sure.
phones, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that is important in this is week 1 and week 2, faculty were saying to me, we're getting through more material. I planned for 50 minutes, but I was done at 40 minutes because there wasn't the distraction and the kids were really moving with stuff. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Something to think about though with the Chromebooks, laptops. I mean, what I do is I tell them there'll be days when I need you to have it because we're going to work with it, but other days I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And I have more freedom to do that where I'm at. But
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
something to think about.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Other questions for goal 1?
Yes, as far as the safety monitors, who's taking on those tasks? How are these safety monitors being identified in and out of school, and what kind of things are they looking for in that job as a safety monitor?
Yeah, great question. They are, one of them has been with us for a long, long time. He was there the first year I was interim high school principal back in 16, 17. So they work closely with the assistant principals, and the assistant principals set their schedules, set their walking path, and they are hall monitors, basically. They are walking throughout the day, getting tens of thousands of steps, popping into the bathrooms to make sure bathrooms are being used appropriately. The addition of the parking lot monitor this year is great. That's the outside monitor, and we were able to do that because we increased parking fees. And it is Mr. Sam Saw. He is wonderful. He has had this role in other districts before. He's been great. So he works very closely with the assistant principals and will communicate and sort of escort kids back in and encourage them back in. So
How do you measure whether the use of these monitors is improving the safety of students? What's the measure for that? How do you determine that?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of our big concerns, even from years ago, is always, since many students drive to the high school and park, we want them at school and not in their cars until they're dismissed, right? That part is a concern to everybody. And students in the past have, it's a porous school, hopped out a door and taken off, and they come back in with a big Starbucks order or whatever, right? So actually, Sam's presence outside is really controlling that. We close off, as of this year, the Route 125 exit. So that's not a way that kids can get out. Sam is mostly then on the football side, so that a student would have to pass him if they were exiting in their car. He's also circulating the building, so he might miss, but I think we should think about how to measure in terms of numbers. Lynn Grantham, assistant principal, she she's a stickler for kids leaving and going to McDonald's and coming back in. And she has a very data brain. She's probably tracking that, actually. She would love this task to actually track. And she keeps telling me it's a lot fewer kids that are escapees and coming back in. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Questions on goal 2?
Well, I have more or less the same questions I asked George. But high school is even, in a way, harder to figure than, because they aren't teams in the same sense.
Yeah.
So, and by this point, it really is important that you teach content. But there must be some students who need basic reading or basic math. And how do you do that? How does it work?
Reading teachers. We have a couple of reading teachers who the students are on IEPs identified as being way behind grade level in skill in reading, and so they have reading instruction, explicit reading instruction.
Instead of, what would they be doing
An
if they were?
elective, an elective.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, fewer electives.
And is it working? Do you have
So I'm
some
gonna-
sense about whether kids are getting closer to where they need to be?
There is growth. When we look at growth, when the special ed director monitors that, and Lynn O'Neill helps monitor that too. But I'm going to give you a story connected to the library and Courtney Ahern. So one of Courtney's stories to me a couple weeks ago, she said that there are 2 well-known, even to me, non-readers, struggling readers at the high school. I mean, these are 15-year-olds, 16. I think one's 16. She says they won't now leave her alone in the library for checking out books. And she said one of them came after his 5th book checked out, and he said, I really liked this one, but the ending really left on a cliffhanger. Would you have something that picks up where that left off and then advances me? And I'm like, tell me the name of that student again, really? So kudos to the reading teachers and to Courtney in that synergy. So
how do you identify the kids that need that? You don't have data meetings, and it wouldn't work like it would in the middle or in elementary school.
yeah, I mean, I think that they are long before identified in middle school and elementary school. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The competency determination, when is that? Small question. When's that due to the state?
December 31st.
So we'll need to approve it before then.
Yeah.
We have a meeting, I know, on the 18th, and probably at the beginning of December would be your due date to us. Got it.
They are on the schedule.
We have it on the schedule?
It's on the schedule.
Perfect. I just want to make sure we do the
Yeah.
things for you so it can happen on time.
Yes, thank you.
Question
Awesome.
2?
Yep.
Go to the common midterm and final assessment. So that's a new thing?
It is.
Interesting.
It went on hiatus, COVID era, and a lot of high schools did that and have thus brought them back.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just a surprise to hear that, but okay. We're glad. And I assume that's the I mean, you're the guys, professionals, right? That's the preferred way to do it, isn't it? I mean, otherwise, how can you evaluate whether someone's really passing a course?
Yes. Agree.
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions on goal number 3? Thank you so much. We have 1 more minute before we're supposed to move on. I'm keeping us on agenda time tonight because we have a lot. So,
No, that was great. Thank you, guys.
I deeply thank you so much, Mr. Gonsalves and Ms. Holman. Thank you, Ms. Ando, for leading them through this process. These are great plans. I really appreciate the detail and the how far we have come the past couple of years and the quality of the school improvement plans that have been presented to us. So thank you to Mrs. Lathrop and to you for doing that and pushing our leaders in wonderful ways.
Thank you.
Oh, do we have to vote to accept them tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion.
All
Do
right.
we want to take them together or one by one?
We'll do one by one.
All right.
Unless you have I don't care.
Okay, then, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we accept the middle school improvement plan as Mr. Gonsalves presented it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sams. Any further discussion?
No, I just want to echo your comments. I love how it's very lined up with the district goals, very much able to follow it, and I love how you've put a reach out there. And that means a lot to me as a school committee member to know that we're reaching. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Entertain another motion.
So
Okay.
I move we approve the high school.
Thank you, Mr.
Report.
Moskovich.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any further discussion?
Same to the high school.
Same thing, ditto. Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
The chair votes yes, 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
both
you
very
for
much.
coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good thing we were fast on the other ones, because although we started early, we were ending at 7:55 on that part of the agenda.
Thank you.
Well done.
So we have the right before we go into the superintendent's report, it's mostly the superintendent. We sort of smushed the two together because we felt like part of the warrant discussion and the MOU discussion is sort of chair, sort of superintendent. So they're sort of combined, but I have no, other than the things that are listed there, I have no other announcements in terms of the chair's report tonight. So Superintendent Lathrop.
Great. There we go. Okay, so the superintendent's report for October 9th, 2025. This first page I'm dedicating to our launch students. You heard from Ms. O'Neill speak about our launch students before, so I went on to their teachers' Twitter, now called X, page to get some photos to share some of the work they've done. So down in the bottom left, down the bottom left here, this is when they go out to the YMCA, visiting in the community. They had a field trip to Smollett Farm recently where they did some pumpkin picking. We have our students down here at the bottom who are volunteering in some of our classrooms as student supports and helping. We have students who are working in the copy area at NAMS, NAMS has a pilot program where teachers can leave their sort of what they need copy, and some of our launch students are working there in the copy center. And then we have some of the crafts and things that they're working on. It looks like there's some maybe.
The top right, I believe that is at the college. It's one
Oh,
of the
right.
Macy- It's in one of the Macy classes, I believe.
Awesome.
How old are these students, or what grade are they?
18 to 22.
Oh, okay.
These are 18 to 22 students. Yep. So just a nice highlight to that. Then I think as we heard that all of our senior teams are having senior night, so Mr. Nugent was able to give me a few, so I don't have them all here. But our boys varsity soccer had honored their 11 seniors this week. Yep. Girls varsity volleyball has 4 seniors. And then our varsity field hockey honored their 11 seniors. I think Miss Ando might have been at that game.
She'll kill me, but my niece Sophia is the goalie and the captain of the. So we were there. It was super fun. Kudos to all of their coaches, Mrs. Van Horn. They just did a really nice job celebrating the kids. Well done.
And then we have a connection between Franklin School and Merrimack College. So Merrimack College women's basketball team has joined our physical education classes. They are playing with the students inside the gym. They're going outside. And then also there's Professor Colleen Abraham. She has a literacy course. And one of the things that Merrimack College, and we have helped them to identify, is that we haven't felt that all the times our student teachers are coming as prepared as we'd like to see them, having a real understanding of what they might be needing to do in the classroom. So Professor Abraham and another professor got together, and they are actually, during their time at Merrimack, when their class time, they bring their students to our schools. So Professor Abraham has been coming into Franklin School. They go to Miss Mullen and Miss Barnett's room to observe literacy and action, and then they will eventually get to start running some small groups in those classrooms. So it's really exciting. Yes. And then Merrimack continues at the Atkinson School. Professor Stroud has been having her teaching math course come to the Atkinson School. They've been doing some small group instruction. They're working with the third graders right now. And as you can see, the kids really love it. It's really a benefit that we have Merrimack College so close and that we're able to take advantage of these connections. As I think we heard, the kindergarten and their preschool had their open house. It was really nice to hear the teachers talk about some things about themselves and sharing some fun facts that of their families or just a little something that they enjoy in some of the activities that happen. It was really a warm, inviting. I know we've heard that, ABECC doesn't look so nice from the outside, but it looks so nice on the inside, and they're just a very warm, inviting, environment, which was great. We have at the high school, we had some students who, high school students who are really working on becoming real researchers. They worked alongside Northeastern University. They did some lab work. Mr. Ellison, Mr. Carroll, and especially Mr. Anderson made this learning adventure and experience happen for their classroom. So they took them out beyond the classroom walls to really do some authentic science, which is great. And keeping Isabella Razakowski's class, they stepped into the role of historians. They were studying artifacts from World War I. They were examining propaganda posters to analyze primary documents and wartime equipment. Students were uncovering the stories and perspectives that shaped their history. They had German Unity Day. Anna Harrod, she was here talking about the trip that she's doing. We want to thank her for hosting and sharing the celebration with her German class. They had German Unity Day. It's celebrated on October 3rd to mark the official reunification of East and West Germany in 1990. And her students were experiencing German unity, culture, and connection. And then, I'm sorry that Louine had to leave. Our national merit, we commend seniors Louine Ismail, Samantha Schwartz, Natasha Sikon, and Samantha Bowe for being amongst the 50,000 highest scoring students in the nation on the the PSATs. That's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. I wish Louine was here so we could all congratulate him. But those are our students. Just a couple of updates of things that have happened since the last time I saw you all. I have this in front of me. I don't know why I'm craning my head. We did officially, I think I said to you last time, we had interviews going on for custodian and maintenance. John Mullen is retired. We have hired Todd Workman in that position. Todd comes to us from North Andover. He has 31 years of experience. He was the maintenance, he's working maintenance recently. Before that, he was the head custodian at North Andover Middle School. Both Kristen and I have now attended 2 of our virtual classes towards our certificate in education finance through Georgetown University. I was able to visit the Thompson School, spend some time with Mr. Raymond talking about his own goals, and then we did some classroom visits together. We had the Kittredge School Building Committee that Mr. Brown will talk a little bit more about. We do participate in mutual concerns. That's an opportunity. That should say NADA, not NA. It's an opportunity for NADA and central office to get together. We do a collective mutual concerns, and it's an opportunity for us to talk about some of the things that are going on and see if we can come to some consensus and some agreements if there's something that's happening. And it's great. Every bargaining unit has an opportunity to share, as well as central office. I had one of my NSIP coaching sessions where I think you met Jane Tremblay. She came, so she came, and did a coaching session with me in person. I had an in-person day. We were working on classroom walkthroughs, which is great because it's some of the same things that we've been working on with our leaders. The town and the school had their budget meeting. We've had 2 so far, but we've had one just recently, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that from Ms. Dowd in a few minutes. Capital improvement projects have started for the schools. So Mr. Landry, our Director of Personnel and Operations, is working with Todd Workman, as well as Steve Foster and Jeremy Brandel from the town, to collect from all of the schools and departments what we might like to see put forward for the capital improvement plan, because that started. I am the Merrimack Valley representative, it's a mouthful, for the READY committee that's Desi holds. That's the Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. So I had a committee meeting during the time that I last saw you. Ms. Ando was able to, she published a newsletter for teaching and learning, so hopefully everyone had an opportunity to read that. And I'm just going to ask her to talk briefly about a survey that was part of the teaching and learning newsletter.
Absolutely. I think in your packet you have some information. Hold on, let's keep going.
Did that make it in? I'm not sure it did.
See if it made it in. Maybe not. All right. So ECLC is Essex County Learning Collaborative that we're part of. So it's a obviously, like many learning institutions in Essex County, that we have opportunities for no-cost coaching and other ways that we can develop our skills here. And so we have a equity practice project that we're working on. And one of the things we're studying is how do our families feel welcome or not in our schools. So recently this week, a survey went out to ask parents for feedback about that. And so if you've seen it or if you have any questions, please direct them our way. But what we'll do is we will look at the results of that survey, match it up with some evidence-based practices, and try to make some improvement for students, especially those who may be in some of our subgroups. And so if you've seen a survey, that's what that's about. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And then this week we had educator collaboration. That is maybe formally known as a faculty meeting. So we really are trying to move away from sort of the faculty meetings where you just get talked at and hear a lot of information about things that are going on that maybe could have been handled in a newsletter or an email. So in an effort to try to push that, we are calling them education collaboration meetings. They are very building based, and so every principal has an opportunity to build their own agenda. So here's an example of something that was happening at the Atkinson School during that time this week. During educator collaborating meeting, the Atkinson School staff met in mixed groups, and they analyzed questions from the spring 2025 ELA MCAS. When the groups met, they read the question, the state standard, and they considered the questions, including what are students being asked to do, what curriculum resources do we have that teach that explicit skill, and in your content area, how can you support students in meeting this standard? So just an example of some of the work that they're doing during that time. And then we had a leadership meeting, and so what our goals were this past week in our leadership meeting is always continuing to fortify the team. We introduced and we practiced class walkthroughs, so what that looks like when you're walking through a classroom with our leaders, and then we had some updates on operational issues. And that is really my updates. I am going to ask Ms. Dowd now to walk you through the financial updates, which are in your packet.
Thank you very much, Kristen. So the first item we have is the FY26 budget update. So this is, we've been spending a lot of time over the last month going through payroll, making sure we have everybody set up. We have all the folks encumbered. We also have gone through to look at all of the expenses, to look at where we are. This was done as of October 3rd, so we do want to remind folks that we have, I think we had just completed our third payroll at that time. So unlike on the town side where you have the payrolls happening starting in July 1st, our biggest payroll really does not start until September when all of the staff come back. So that's why it takes a little bit of time for us to go through, make sure we have everything set up and accounted for, all of the various stipends. All of the folks are on there. We spend time with human resources to go through and understand what positions are open. As we do talk about in there, we've gone through to do estimates based on athletics for the remainder of the year, because obviously we're in the first season, so we don't have definitive coaching numbers for the rest, but we've used our estimates. We have estimates in for substitute coverage, long-term and short-term. We have estimates in for any open positions where folks just have not started yet, so they're not in our payroll numbers. We have estimates for our noon attendance, our custodial overtime, substitutes. So anyone who's not salaried, we have in there. Looking at how we're currently running, again, we have 2 payrolls under our belt, and we looked historically to see where we are. And we'll keep updating that. So every pay cycle, we're looking at it to see what's changed, how are the numbers running. We share the substitute numbers with all the building-based principals. I've started all of my monthly meetings with them, so I'm going out to each of the schools, meeting with folks, understanding what's going on. We also, Ms. O'Neill and I spend a lot of quality time together, so we meet almost on a weekly basis. It might be my turn to buy the donuts next time. So we go through and we do a deep dive into all of the accounts from the out-of-district tuition, we look at transportation, we look at contract services, so that we have a good sense of where we are. So we have everything known, we have encumbered for all the students. We do have, a list that we maintain because it is very fluid. Students move in, students change placements, so we're having those discussions, so we've kept the estimates in there for that. We have estimates in there for transportation. What does get tricky is in-district transportation for our regular general education students. Set bus routes, we know what those are. Our in-district special education, we know what that is. We are monitoring that pretty closely because we do need to track it to see whether or not we need to add additional buses. The one that I would say is the trickiest this early in the year is our out-of-district transportation. To date, we have not received invoices yet. It's still early. We have 1 month under our belt, so September's invoice will come in October. That's critical because that's where we really get the rates, because the rate is dependent on the route, the number of students, and how many students are going to a particular placement. So the rates aren't definitively known yet, but we put estimates based upon where we believe they would be. So again, we're monitoring that. I would say special ed is almost on a daily basis that we're looking at. So this includes our best estimates as of October 3rd. We are trending right where we thought we would be. Nothing has jumped out of a concern that we are going over. So we had a really good meeting with the town manager and the finance director where we went through this as well and talked through where we are, the approaches that we're taking as we're looking at items, how we're using our grants, how we're thinking about circuit breakers. So we're being very strategic in what we're doing. So what we did do as part of this that we would like to do, ideally when we're doing the financial updates, but we will come to you more frequently if needed be, is for budget transfers. We have what I'm going to consider a great situation that has occurred where we actually have a student, and we're obviously not going to go into extreme details, but we have a student who is coming back in district, which is great and what you want to have happen. As part of bringing the student back in district, we need to have some additional staffing resources associated with this. So as part of going through this, we are requesting that the school committee approve a transfer from out-of-district tuition, which is where the funding would have been for the student who was out of district, to transfer a portion of that money into salaries because we do need to add a TA as some additional one-to-one support for this student, which again we think is a great success story that we're able to bring a student back in district. But to be fully transparent, we wanted to come to the committee and say we're going to be adding these resources, but we also have a funding source to do it.
So we're taking, just so I understand, the money we would have spent from the out-of-district account, we're going to move just some of that
Correct.
into the in-district salaries account.
Correct.
And the remainder of that is going to stay in out-of-district in case we need more for transportation and whatever.
Yes, because it
Love
is
it.
early in the year and we have had students moving in, we've had placements changing, we've had various things happen. It's still early in the year, so we would like to keep that money in that bucket and move
Just
what
what
we
we need.
need to do.
That transfer request is on your sheet.
It's on the
in
bottom of page
Love it.
2.
Can-
So we
And
wanted
I
to
love
keep
the
it.
memo itself.
Thank you. This was our approach to say, how
Yeah.
do we provide additional information? And this is where we
So,
landed.
Mr. Sheriff, a question about this?
Sure.
Yeah, so first of all, let me say, this is exactly what I wanted to see, so I'm really, really pleased, and thank you for
So I
that.
can put this on the refrigerator, gold star.
I'm going to give
It's going to be
this,
on my refrigerator tonight.
this gets an A++.
Oh,
Because not only is it formatted well, the numbers are nice.
No, this is, I think, the kind of thing that we really have been looking for, so thank you.
You're welcome.
But my question is, so I read this last night and made some notes. how are you approaching the placeholders, the estimates, right? Are you kind of doing a percentage, or like what?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
In what area are you referring to when you say placeholder?
Yes, so what specifically caught my eye was on the back page
Out of
2,
district.
where it says.
The out of district?
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
Placeholders for potential additional placements, changes in placements and assessments. And then the second part of that is transportation.
So what we do for that is we actually, in our discussions, we have a list of students.
Right.
I want to be careful. I always look over it like, because I want to make sure I'm being respectful and very careful.
Sure.
So we have a list that we are tracking of potential students that we either may know we might have a 45-day assessment, or we are currently seeking a placement for. It's sort of I'd call it a watch list. So we have them, and we think about what their needs are and what a potential placement could look like. We know the costs of all the placements, so we say, if we think this student needs this type of placement, this is what we would estimate it to be. I can then go to my transportation and say, if I'm transporting them from A to B, I know what the daily rate of transportation is. So we actually have relatively good hard costs associated with each of those.
That's
because we
fantastic.
get-
So you're actually tracking specific.
We are, yes.
Specifics, not you're not just saying, hey, I might have a 5% increase in this cost. or
No,
something
we're
like that.
tracking specifics. I would say the only thing we say we're going to put a placeholder is for the 45-day assessments, because we may not have specific names, but you can go back and look historically and say, on average, we have X number of students at X cost that we would anticipate occurring within a year. So we factor that in as well.
Okay. So short of a true surprise, like a new student moving into the district who has very high needs, you feel pretty comfortable that we're close.
Yes.
For the information that we have
Yeah.
today,
As of October 3rd, 2025.
No, of course.
Yes.
Look, it is, that could happen, right? You can't predict everything, right? But
it does happen.
It does
Yeah.
happen. It has
But-
happened this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And this year it has happened.
It has happened.
Yep. So,
well, so let me ask you. So I mean, just being honest, right, and direct. If we had a major increase like that because a very high need student moves in, that's not that we don't have a contingency for that.
We
We're
do.
exposed. Oh,
we
do.
actually do have a contingency
that's
for
why
that.
she's the money person.
Okay.
This is
You see where I'm going, right?
So we
Yeah.
do have a contingency for that. So yes, so that will actually be the next slide, that schedule that we will show. So what, we were very fortunate in that last year, the state released additional circuit breaker funds that came, they told us, I think it was on June 29th. Thank
It's
you.
on her sheet, that budget sheet down at the bottom. There should be a link.
Oh, there is a link, thank you. Because I had a feeling people were going to ask. So the contingency we have this year is we received additional circuit breaker funding at the end of last year when the state released funds. So we have that money, I'm going to say, in the bank. So it's all the
It's at the
way,
bottom.
I'm sorry, I said thank
Oh.
you.
It's
All the
almost
way
at the bottom.
circuit breaker.
Yeah.
We put the totals, not sort of the waterfall
The little
calculation of
one.
how
Oh,
it works.
Yeah.
So we started the year with additional circuit breaker funds. The other thing that worked to our advantage, again, if we think about when we build the budget, we had to estimate last year at this time how much we thought circuit breaker was going to be before we knew total numbers, before we knew what our claim was going to be, and before we knew what the state was going to fund it at. We budgeted circuit breaker to be $2.3 million. As you can see, we were pleasantly surprised that we received $3.3 million. So we received additional funding for circuit breaker. So that's how we can come in saying, even though we've had unexpected changes happen from what we budgeted, we have additional circuit breaker funding that we can tap into as if needed.
Have we had to tap into any of that extra million yet?
To date, we
As
have-
of today, yeah, today.
No,
to- that's-
we'll be tapping into the 3.3, but the additional funds that we received. the plan we have, and this was a great conversation we had with the town manager and the finance director when we met with them, is the goal for any district is to be able to get to a point where you have your circuit breaker fully funded in the bank, meaning I would like to get to a point where I have 100% of this year's circuit breaker that I have not touched that I can use next year. What that does is it affords you budget certainty, because I know how much I have. And then whatever you get next year, you would be able to budget for the following year, or student moves in, or they go from least restrictive to more restrictive. You have the funding available, so you would be able to tap into that before you would have to go and ask the town out of their finance reserve to do it. Circuit breaker, you do have a year to use it, so it is 100% well within the confines of Mass General Law that if I receive the money this year, I do not have to use it. I have a full 24 months.
Are there limits on what you can use it for?
You have to use it for, it's for your out-of-district tuition and transportation. So not staffing, not general items. It is specifically special education, tuition, and transportation. The reason the numbers were higher than we had anticipated is they actually funded the budget, fully funded the tuition part of it, which typically does not happen, and the transportation part was funded a lot higher than we had anticipated. So it worked to our advantage.
Usually it's only a partial.
Usually it is, which is why you always budget conservatively, because they typically do not. At the first pass, they hold the money till the end of the year and then release it. So that, our goal is to be able to start to build
A little
that.
reserve, essentially a reserve, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Perfect. Thank you very much.
So this is fantastic. Thank you for putting this together. This really helps to see kind of where we're at a very high level where we're at. So my question is kind of, I guess, for you, Gail, and then for our budget liaisons as well. So is this, I guess, how far along are the budget liaisons working with Gail to kind of getting this information formatted how?
Well, so we're going to resume those discussions shortly, but we
Okay.
wanted to wait until we got to this point before we did.
Got it. So what's the right way to get, because I know part of this is not all of us as committee members having all of our different ideas and bombarding, but trying to get those kind of, do you want as the budget liaisons, do you want kind of ideas from us, and we can do that offline, I guess, just one-on-one? Or how should we get you kind of that information? So as you're formulating and working directly with Gail, how do we give you our, because I have a couple of things that I'd like to see, but
Sure.
That's me. I need to work through you.
So it's a good question. So we've been doing is we kind of waited to get to this point before we resume the discussions, and so I'm kind of looking at you because.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that if that's what the committee decides, right? You have two budget liaisons that you could email, just one-on-one, and they can consider that information. And then, here we are showing a sample of what it could look like, and if there are things that you would like to see tweaked from this, and we could move forward that way.
So we should be scheduling that. Now we can schedule that, right?
Yep.
To
Okay.
like sort of our next meeting about that.
Okay,
and
so I'll
we'll-
reach
Yeah,
out
so
to
you-
one of you, but not both of you. I'll
Right,
reach out
just
to
send
one
me
of
the-
you with my ideas and just, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
The non-Ed and Dave three should email either Ed or Dave, but not both.
Not both, okay.
What you'd like to see.
Okay.
And then when we schedule our next meeting, which we now
Yeah.
can do, right, because we were kind of waiting for
Or
this.
you can always email it to Michelle, who can email it to both Ed and Dave.
Oh, that's true.
A member has shared
Oh,
that.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that
And-
works. That,
and
actually, that's a great.
this was to start the conversation as to where
Fantastic.
we think we could
Yeah,
go.
yeah. This
It's the first
is
step.
fantastic. It's really about getting all of us to the confident. What are the things that we're most confident in? What are the things that projecting, being able to kind of take a
Right.
look and see where things are at. So thank you.
So last year, I was pleased. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to see if you're ready for a motion.
Oh,
but
it's
they
all
have
right.
another
I can wait.
comment.
Okay.
So I was pleased when you would report each, whatever it was, every other week or every month on expenditure, appropriation, encumbrance, expenditure. And I noticed there aren't encumbrance this year, so I'm hoping that we can get back to that, if that's all right.
It's all encumbered.
It's all, so the
It was helpful to
column
see
that
it.
says estimated total expenditures is a combination of
No,
what's
he's on the wrong
encumbered
page.
and what's
He's on the grant
anticipated.
All right, and that was gonna be one of my comments, of seeing that broken out too, but.
Right, but it makes a difference. You may combine them, but it's not, it's actually different, right? It's just helpful, I don't know, comforting perhaps. If all those expenses are encumbered, then we know they're taken care of. So there's a difference. Because then what you saw was that there wasn't a whole lot of money left to be spent, and there wasn't a whole lot of money unencumbered, but it's just easier to
that-
see.
But it's there.
Isn't this the column here that
okay.
shows this is all
Maybe there
encumbered?
is.
Not,
I don't think it's all encumbered.
It's
Okay.
encumbered plus anticipated because we
No.
don't encumber substitutes, we don't
No.
encumber, but,
So-
so this is a combination of.
Yeah, it's a summary in that,
I might
yes.
not find
it's,
it.
so it's not all.
And that was a suggestion that,
Came from our budget
Came
meeting
from-
with the town.
yes, that we consolidated into one, so we consolidated it.
It's on
to
this page that you
simplify.
also received via email.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it's
here
the
it
bottom
is.
of that.
I got
I
it.
know it's sorry, somewhere.
But we can, if there are thoughts
Krista,
and
can you go
suggestions,
back?
we can.
To the other,
Okay.
not the grants page. And scroll
the top.
down,
Yeah,
right here.
that last column equals what's encumbered as well
Plus
as what we
Oh, right.
Projected,
anticipate
yeah.
on top
Right on
of
the-
it.
So I think this is
It's
probably
the-
one of those things as we work through the budget liaisons, there's different viewpoints. Because honestly, I want to see them broken out too, right? Because there's different levels of confidence, but that's something we can work through.
Yeah, it just feels better to see it.
Different levels of
Way.
confidence.
And is there, I mean, I suppose the traditional way you look at it is, well, we're X percentage of the year, and have we spent more than X? Now, of course, that doesn't quite work for us because we don't spend the money. But can you go back to like an average for the last 2 or 3 years of how much of the budget is spent every month and show us, if how what we're doing compares? Like if historically, it's hard to, I don't like to do arithmetic in public, but historically, if by the end of September, we've usually spent, I'm just making this up, 15%, and this year we spent 20%, then that would, that's something we ought to know, I think. Is there some way that you can tell us your
I
sense
think that
where
might
we
be
at?
something that we would maybe consider as we're building the budget for FY '27. And I also want to say that we are moving forward with having established, I'll be honest with you, so I'm just going to say it. So this is a budget that was created by this administration that I feel very confident and secure in. I don't know that I can go back years that I wasn't the superintendent and Gail wasn't the
Oh, I
interim
see.
director
Yeah.
and be confident in those numbers. And
Fair
so I
enough.
would be reluctant to make that comparison.
Okay.
I
But
would also caution, I completely understand the concept. I think sometimes the cash flow side of it's differently, and I would not want to get the committee bogged down in. Last year, 100% of our teachers were paid over 26. This year, they're all paid over 21. That's going to make a difference in when you're looking at stuff.
That's fine. Is
Timing
it-
of when you get bills. I think what I usually try to do is say, based upon where we are, is it reasonable for where we are during the year to say how much is encumbered and how much you still have available for future expenses coming up? So I guess, Ms. Cormier, to your point, it's the difference between encumbered and how much you're anticipating to spend, but you haven't swept it up yet. I think there's,
What, if you encumber essentially all of the base salaries and whatever fixed commitments, you really aren't left with very much, and then it's fairly straightforward. You're talking about things like principals paying overtime and that sort of thing, and substitutes that you, but if you see it that way, it's just easier for us to sort of have some intuitive sense. We don't need to worry about what's encumbered. Here's how much is left.
I think that
Is
could be
it-
a great
when we
further
meet,
discussion
we
for the
can
budget
meet with the
liaisons to have with
liaisons.
Gail.
We can look at that.
Well, I'm sure David and I would be ready to do that.
Great.
Just one clarification, right? So, I mean, salaries are, I saw it somewhere, I can't find it.
Salaries
They are encumbered already, right?
Majority of,
Yeah.
yes, your professional, full-time salaried individuals are encumbered.
That's what, I know I saw that.
Yes.
here, So,
Thank you.
So what does that leave that's not encumbered? 'Cause we're very, like, what's,
It could be any of your stipends that you're not aware of, hired, not here's, open positions, anyone getting overtime.
okay, so
your-
those odd, those,
Okay. All of your athletics, so a big bulk of your athletics would not be encumbered because I don't know who's coaching in
okay.
Spring.
So those true unknowns.
So there
at
are
this
some
point.
that are not, in any of your hourly, like your noon attendance,
Okay.
so there are good pockets that would not be encumbered because they're.
Okay. But you could project, so that
We
would be
did
in your
project.
projections.
Those are projected,
Okay.
correct.
Which is that third column,
Yes.
right?
Well, that's-
So that's your projection.
That's projections plus encumbered in the third
Yes,
column.
correct.
That, yeah.
Mrs. Sims?
Yes, so I move for the authorization to transfer $25,000 from the special education out-of-district tuition column to the special education salaries.
Second.
Is that Mr. Moskovich? Thank you for coming up that way to, well, thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you for including the grants.
So, I was going to say, do we want to, I thought it would be logically to quickly look at one of the other items that had been requested was to have a summary of, Mr. Brown, this goes to your sort of sources and uses.
Right.
So what we did is we pulled together a list of the grants, and I did sort of just, for historical purposes, I did a 2-year look back with the current year, which is typically what you'll see. So the top section, thank you so much for driving this. These are the entitlement grants. So these are the ones where you can basically think, these are the ones year in and year out that you will be
more or less
receiving.
count on, right? Yeah.
You can more or less count on. What's helpful about showing it with the multiple years, you can see that the title grants have pretty much held their own. The funding has stayed relatively consistent. Title I has come down. The ones that we are, I would say, probably keeping a little bit of a closer look on are the IDEA ones at the bottom. You can see that has been consistently trending down. So from a budget standpoint, that's important to think about because we do include staffing, we include transportation, we include tuition in some of these grants. And what we had committed to is during the budget process, we would come back and give a little bit more detail
So
about
are these
exactly what's in
entitlements
these.
or reimbursements?
These are entitlement grants.
So we get them by some formula. Is that what they are? So
Yep.
there's some formula that says how much.
Formula and how much funding's available. These are federal grants
Right.
as well.
Okay.
So it's a combination, but what's important to note is when we're thinking about the budget, it's important for Lynn and I to think about this because each time this grant goes down, there's less available. The same, Kristen and I have had great conversations about how we think about the title grants because when you're putting staff and other items as the grant comes down, something's getting squished. So we are monitoring and tracking these to make sure we're utilizing them to the best
So this,
of our ability.
this is money that we can spend that the town didn't appropriate.
Correct. These are all
It's not
grants.
in our budget.
Correct.
And so this is.
These
what
are
Mr. Brown keeps saying,
non-operating
it's
fund
sort of part
funds.
of our budget, but isn't part of our budget.
Right. It's
not
not
part
part
of
of
the
our
town
big number.
allocation.
The town does not allocate it, is not voted at town meeting.
Right,
But
and
we
then there's
spend it on
some
our
that are
students.
not
But we
quite so
spend it on our
straightforward,
students, yeah.
like, well, the state funds, we'll talk to you when our committee meets, but state funds that we get, that either go to the town or go to us, then it's really,
That would be a discussion I would steer you to talk to the town if you're talking about how they handle Chapter 70 funding.
well, the question is, that would be helpful to us to know how much money we are authorized to spend.
You're
Like,
authorized.
Some of this money comes to the town, and we're not authorized to spend it even though it's a reimbursement from stuff that we did.
No, all
It's
of this money comes to the school with the exception
Right.
of.
I don't
so-
mean these, I just mean other.
I would say
this
for,
is-
these are the grants that come directly. Some of
Right,
the
okay.
earmarks are slightly separate, but we could talk to these are all funds that come the school is responsible for. We receive them, we spend them, we report on them
Yeah.
to DESI.
Let's keep our
If-
discussion on these
Yes.
then, please.
Okay, so these are the ones that could be affected by particularly Title I, or the special ed money are subject to federal appropriation.
Correct.
If the federal government opens again, and there's no guarantee
These,
that these will be
fortunately for-
appropriated. I believe
going
for this
forward,
year, it's
these are
based,
prior year,
yeah, because of the difference in the
appropriations. Yes,
federal,
yes.
from the
These, from
fiscal
what we've
years.
heard,
This
are
is
safe. Correct.
from the last federal fiscal year
Yes.
that expired when the government did.
Yes. So these
But-
funds are our funds, and we have been told to proceed.
We've got
Right,
more.
but next year really does depend
Correct.
on the battle in
Right,
Congress
so
about
it's
the
good
budget.
information to have, because we
Yep.
know that this year we didn't know if we were going to receive our federal funds, and then we did. But if these federal funds go away, you're looking at about $1.8 million of entitlement grants that are infused into our budget that we would have to provide ourselves if this funding didn't come from the government.
Yes, I asked somebody about it, and I don't remember the details, but in one case, the House and Senate both thought that they would continue them, and in the other case, only one house wanted to and the other didn't. So there's a really good chance that one of these two won't be here next year.
When I look at, this is great, thank you for putting this together. I think this is one of those things as we go through, is like, what's the total amount that we're truly spending on our students? So to make sure I understand, so what this is showing us for this year, we've got our
The
budget set.
69.2
Then, so-
general fund.
Yep, so then
Plus.
plus
Plus this.
5.6 million. So as we think about what we are spending on our students and investing in our students, it's 74-ish million.
Almost 75. because it's
75.
69.2 plus
Yeah.
5.6.
Slightly more complicated, but
Roughly, but I think it's, as we keep in mind
Yes.
about what money we have to invest in our students and are
Correct.
investing in our students,
Yes.
it's more than just that piece. It's another
Correct.
$5 million more.
correct.
And one last question on this specifically. So that 1.175, the second to last one there, the entitlement
IDA,
grant,
yeah.
does that pay some salaries?
Yes, it does.
It does, yeah.
Pays
No
salaries,
reason it
tuition,
shouldn't.
Yeah,
and
I just wanted to know, yeah.
transportation. Yep.
I'm sorry?
Part salaries, there's some
Transport.
tuition and some transportation
Okay.
funded out of the grant.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, yeah.
And then the last two, the other section on there is the competitive grants. Those are typically for the most part, a lot of them are one and done. That tends to be a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, more professional develop, more teacher time. Those would not be staff focused on those. So those are competitive, where we would submit for it and wait to hear if we receive it. There's the nursing, we have money that we get from Department of Public Health. We also have earmarks that come through that, again, are one and done.
So the circuit breaker reimbursement, where does that go?
That is school funds that we utilize. So we receive the funds directly from the state, and we have to spend it within 2 years. If we do not spend it, we have to send the money back.
So that doesn't go to the town.
That is school money.
And so we spend that in addition to appropriation.
Correct. Everything on this sheet is in addition to the 69.2 million. That is appropriated through town meeting.
Okay, and this money inconveniently it varies a year later than the actual cost varies.
It's based on, so this is based on the claim we submitted in July of '25, which was last year's
Yeah, so.
So it's a year, it's a reimbursement we receive from the state a year after the fact.
It's, in theory, it's meant to cover very high costs in a particular year, but it doesn't. It covers
It-
very high costs in one year and gives us the funds in
In
the
the
next
next,
year,
correct.
which is very inconvenient.
Yeah, and confusing.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Gail.
Al.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Moving on to FinCom MOU update and some discussion. Last time we were in the meeting, Mrs. Cormier asked about where our status was with the MOU that we had between us and the Finance Committee. She sent it to me. I looked it over, met with the superintendent, who met with the town a couple times between then and now. I said last time that we would provide the rest of the committee with an update on where we were. That's what we're going to do right now, and then there's time for some follow-up questions.
Great. So in your packet, you have the MOU, MOA, I sort of say those words interchangeably. And then what I provided for you was an update for where we are. So just briefly, we entered into an MOA with the Town Finance Committee and North Andover Public Schools. And with the understanding that we would update on progress under each of the sections that are part of the MOA and our commitments moving forward. So this is a 2-year MOA that ends in August, I believe, of this year. So the first one was about monthly financial reporting. So the part of what we signed off was that we would do monthly financial reporting. And so my update for you is that in FY25, the school department provided written financial updates to the Finance Committee and the Select Board in September, October, January, and March. While these updates did not meet the MOA's intent for monthly reporting, the district and the town did engage in significant collaboration to improve accuracy and reporting formats. So we did meet monthly with the town, although we didn't always provide a report. After hiring our financial consultant in November 2024, our interim finance director, both the town and the school department worked closely to determine the most accurate and transparent way to share data directly from the town's accounting software, which is Munis. Before this, reports did not reflect all of the encumbered salaries or contract expenses, and the district was reluctant to release data that could be misleading. So if you remember last year in our first reporting of our finances, it looks like we had a surplus, which we all know we didn't end with a surplus last year. So that really came out of being able to work collaboratively to do that, which is also why there was a delay this year. Additionally, last year, FY25 was an extremely challenging budget season. It required the preparation of multiple budget scenarios and proposed reductions. While this work temporarily limited our reporting frequency, we did continue to meet with the town manager and the town finance team to review financial reports from Munis and discuss the district's financial status. Looking ahead, North Andover Public Schools is fully committed to resuming and maintaining monthly written reports for FY26 that's aligned with the expectations of the MOA. What's attached here was the September one that we sent. Term 2 of the MOA was about indirect costs. And so throughout FY25, the school department and the town finance team collaborated to identify indirect costs that should be charged to revolving and special revenue accounts. This work is ongoing and it will continue in FY26 to finalize a comprehensive indirect cost analysis before this MOA expires. That work did happen last year. Kyle Warren is wonderful. He's the town accountant, and he works really closely with Tracy and Gail to be able to do that. Number 3 was about encumbrance of salaries and contracted expenses. The current MOA requirements for all salaries and contract expenses to be encumbered by August 31st. Due to the school department's pay schedule and timing of final staffing adjustments, full compliance of that date is not feasible. We have discussed this with the town manager and the town finance team, and we recommend amending this MOA to the deadline of October 1st, which would align with actual payroll cycles and ensure accurate encumbrances, which they were in agreement with at our meeting yesterday. Number 4 applies to procurement and contract compliance. So we, part of the MOA was that we agreed to comply with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, and 149, that written contracts are executed for purchase and services over $10,000, and all purchases exceeding $100,000 are bid appropriately. During FY26, so one of the things we also agreed to was that all of our purchasing, anybody who has the ability to purchase in the district would receive an overview of what it means to purchase, what this law entails. And so we have met with our Assistant Town Manager, Lori Burzlaff. She's leading this project for purchasing and procurement. I think I printed it. Maybe not. That will be delivered to all of our purchasing people, which includes all of our principals, our not our finance director, our athletic director, our food services, community programs, Cheryl Barzak, director of nursing, anybody that has the responsibility of purchasing. It's going to be through the
OSD, through the Attorney General's office, so the folks that actually administer and monitor it offer training.
So Lori has worked with them. There's 4 sessions. They'll be held virtual, and all those people, our building principals, will participate in that.
So when you purchase something, do you automatically encumber it all at the same time?
So if we are entering into a contract that's a single year contract, we would encumber the funds. Each time we do an individual purchase, we encumber the funds at the time of the purchase.
Yeah, as I remember the way it worked in the state, it wasn't an option not to. You couldn't actually get a purchase order unless you encumbered the funds. And if the funds weren't available, then you couldn't ever get a purchase. That's the whole point of it. I know you don't do that with things like overtime for teachers. But
this is
that
just,
wouldn't be practical.
I don't want to veer from the MOA. We're talking about the MOA, and so I'm just giving a status update of that.
Yeah,
so,
which is different.
I just want to make sure everyone knows the 4th element of the MOA. That's okay. Is about procurement and contract compliance, and we're meeting that. Number 5 was about MCPPO, which I don't even know what that stands for, but Gail will tell us. I mean, I do know what it means, but I don't know what MCPPO exactly stands for. Do you want to tell us?
Oh gosh, you're gonna have to put
I'm sorry, put you on the
It's
spot.
the Massachusetts Certified Procurement Purchasing Official.
Excellent.
So it's a 3-course program that you have to take, pass tests along the way, pass one final test, and then recertify every 3 years.
So we made an agreement, that was number 5 of the MOA, that we would have one person trained. Gail Dowd, who is our interim finance director, is MCPPO certified. Tracy Michaela, who's our assistant business manager, has completed the first MCPPO course, which is the 30B training. And Nicole Smythe is currently in the complete certification program for MCPPO training this year. So we will have multiple people. This ensures compliance and capacity within the school business office. Number 6 was a financial policy review, and so what I wrote in my status report there is that's to be completed by the school committee once the financial review process is finalized. Number 6 is the school committee directive. The school committee agrees to review their financial policies once the final review is finalized, and to review any changes with the finance committee. Number 7 was about Munis implementation. Munis is the software that we use for all of our payroll, everything. The district continues to move forward with full implementation of Munis. All payroll expense activity is now entered directly into the town's accounting system. This is improving transparency, accuracy, and consistency across departments. So the town can go in, they can see what's happening in real time as we're doing it. Also, all school and district administrators are actively using Munis to initiate and approve purchase requisitions, ensuring that purchasing activity is properly routed through the system for review and approval. Number 8 was about user fees, and that the district, that we would look at user fee structure and make sure that it's covering our cost. So currently the district has conducted a review of user fees and implemented increases in athletics, preschool, custodial, the custodial fee during rentals, and community programs to better align revenue with actual cost. The Director of Personnel and Operations, Greg Landry, is currently developing a long-range plan to ensure stability and equity across programs, and this will continue through FY26. So what Mr. Landry is doing is looking at all of the fees that we have, working with those cost centers, developing a plan, because we don't want to hit families with like a fee in every single one every year, and so that we have a structure in place. Number 9 was in terms of communication. The impacts of the 2024 and 2025 deficits have been publicly communicated through school committee meetings, town meetings, written updates that have been shared with the broader community. Both the town and school department have worked together to provide transparent and accurate information regarding these deficits and the correct measures taken. So that is the bulk of, that's all of the points in the MOA. And then in summary, while 25 presented significant challenges and transitions, the North Andover Public School and the town of North Andover have made substantial progress towards the intent and spirit of our MOA. Our partnership has strengthened financial systems, improved transparency, and built a solid foundation for sustainable budgeting. We remain committed to fulfilling all requirements in FY26, including resuming monthly written reports, completing the indirect cost analysis, and continuing collaboration with town to maintain North Andover's fiscal integrity.
Thank you, Superintendent. One of the things on there is number 6, the school committee agrees to review their financial policies. I've spoken with Mrs. Sams, and as we are the policy people liaisons, or whatever the thing was, is that we will look at those, and we will get back to the committee, probably not next meeting, probably by the meeting after, about where we stand and what we might, which policies we should at least investigate and do some more work on. So that is a commitment that me and her can make to do before Thanksgiving. So.
Mr. Chair, just a quick observation. First of all, thank you for this and for this nice handy spreadsheet you did. But the numbers were a little, Gal, thank you. The numbers are slightly off, starting with send at least one employee to MCPPO training. It's actually, that's 5, not 4. I can give you the red line.
I did this, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all there. It's just that you might get a little, if you really try to map it, you might get a little lost.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
so basically on the spreadsheet we all got, starting about halfway down where it says send at least one employee to MCPPO.
That's not my spreadsheet. That's something that Ms. Cormier sent to you.
Oh.
So on the actual
No,
MOA.
I didn't actually send that one out.
I don't know where I got it.
That came,
That
I
was sent
didn't
by
send
Michelle.
that. That was sent by Michelle.
Yeah.
So
Sent
that
by
was
Michelle.
a initial thought, rough draft idea, which I believe has been appropriately superseded and improved with this.
Gotcha. That was, yes, that was sent out. So, number 5 in the MOA, just so everybody's clear, says the school agrees to send at least one employee to MCPPO training and to require all employees who are authorized to make purchases to attend a public procurement training that will be offered by the town. So, my document has that as like 4 and 5.
Sorry, you split up 4 and 5 where it's only one of them.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could adjust your number and it'll be all 5.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think
From
this,
that point forward, it's all off by 1.
I didn't
Yeah.
make that.
Oh.
I'm not using that.
Okay.
I mean, I could if you want me to, but that's not.
No, it's fine.
I'm working right off of the MOA and making direct
Okay.
correlations to that.
Superseded.
Whatever, just was helpful little
Yes.
cross-reference.
Yeah, that was kind of my, so thank you for doing, this is fantastic, great, shows the tremendous progress that,
Thank you.
the central office has been making on the MOA, so thank you. Question on, so the school committee, right, we have responsibilities in here too. We already talked about number 6 with the financial review, so 8 with the user fees, as you listed, we've already worked on some of those. You had mentioned Greg Landry's working on kind of the more holistic view. Do you know at what point will we look at that holistic view? Because we're accountable for having that done
Yeah,
by the
I'm
end of the
expecting
year.
that to be part of the budget conversation because that has implications towards our budget, so that you should be prepared we'll be prepared to share that with you during budget time this
Okay.
year.
All right, so we'll be able to get that done and review that and get that done in time to get, because it also seems to tie in one of the commitments that we made
I was just
more
gonna,
recently
I was gonna
about
build off of
doing
that we would wanna, annually we should do that by a target date-ish of April 1st-ish.
Yes.
April, like somewhere in the early spring, so that parents and families have an ability to plan.
Yeah,
well.
just to look at all of all of them.
Just so you know, the other thing is, the town made a great commitment to our high school in terms of putting in the turf field. And so there is potential now, that's another revenue source that we could rent that field during times that we're not using it. So Mr. Nugent, our athletic director, is currently putting together a proposal for rentals.
Any other questions for the superintendent?
One other question, so it mentioned about and I can't find the thing, the financial reporting, coming in the monthly report, coming from the town's accounting software, which I assume is just a explanation of
That's
Munis.
Munis.
So this came from Munis?
Munis.
Perfect. We're out of the spreadsheet world.
We want
Yeah,
systems-generated reports because they're
we have
good.
been out of the spreadsheet world for 2 years. We were using Munis last
So
year to report
it's-
as well.
Yes, it's a combination. Munis has all of budget, actuals, encumbrance, and then we add the known items that are not encumbered, but 90% is all the activity out of Munis, plus what we know is going to happen that we can't encumber
So the
yet.
projections are
Correct.
added on, but
Correct.
that needed to be added on.
But if you
outside of
were to run a
get
Munis
complete.
report, you would actuals, year-to-date, encumbrances.
Yes, actually, that's
Directly
what I
from.
couldn't find because that's what, I don't have it. That's what it is. So I've asked Tracy before to do that for me, and she's done it a couple of times. It's a snapshot, and she has different parameters. It takes her just a couple of minutes, but it shows, that's where I saw it. It shows every category and how much is encumbered, how much is left, and what's been spent as of that date. It's a great report.
Yeah.
And that is
it's
where that
complicated because
comes
it goes
from.
to like every.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like 350 accounts, right? But it does do that, and it comes from Munis.
Any other questions about the MOA update? Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Going on to school warrant discussion. So, Mr. What's your name? Mr. Moskovich. Thank you.
I didn't bring my name tag, so I'm not sure I can remember.
I was drawing a blank there. It's
Yeah.
I'm turning
So-
into a pumpkin at night. Has a spreadsheet that he wanted to, that helps him understand the warrant. So he's going to explain that, and then
So
we'll take it from there.
at some earlier meeting, Mr. Brown said that he found it confusing to just look at the raw spreadsheet that we get from Tracy. And it occurred to me that I have developed this, which I think you guys would find helpful. This is not a policy discussion. If you find it helpful, I will either be happy to send it to you since I do it every time, or maybe Tracy can do it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Master. Could someone? I don't know if everyone know. We know, but does everyone know what the warrant is? Is there someone?
I can go over it.
Yeah, because I
Why
think
don't
that
I define that
people
first?
might not know exactly what the warrant is that we
Yep.
have to
So-
review.
Mr. Moskovich will pause for 1 second. So, the warrant is a list of what we have been charged, items and things that we have been charged for that have been delivered or services have been rendered, and checks have to be paid for. So it is a list of all the monies that we are spending those 2 weeks on services and goods that have already been delivered, including payroll.
Correct.
So
So-
it's accurate to say it's an invoice summary. It's a summary of all our
It's
invoices that
The
we have to
ones
pay.
that have just come due.
But it is things we have already,
Goods
Received.
delivered, services
we've already
rendered.
received the services and the stuff for it.
Correct.
So it's the bill coming in that we
It's
have committed to
invoices
that.
in the traditional sense, goods received, services delivered, warrant A, warrant B, payroll for all of your staff, which would not be an invoice, it's just paychecks that have been
Got it,
cut.
okay.
And we routinely, when we get it, it requires that a quorum of the school committee sign off on the warrant so that those things can get paid. And I have some other things I learned, but we'll wait to hear from Mr. Moskowitz, and then I'll tell you the other things I learned
So
about
the
it.
confusion is that the raw spreadsheet has them listed in no order whatever. And so I worked with Excel and developed a quick routine that sorts them first by fund and then by major category. And I just thought that since I do this anyway, if you guys think it's helpful, I will be happy to either send it to you or to work with Tracy to get it to you each time. So I had Michelle only print out the general fund. So just for example, on page 1, this last invoice, the amount was $375,000. And then the first it went to, Amazon services, et cetera, and these are all different lines. And so you can just go down this really quickly, and if like in 2 minutes, you can see that of the $375,000, all of it's in like 3 or 4 accounts, and you can figure out what they are. The reason I have lots of different columns is when I thought about it in the abstract, I said, well, why are we signing this? And the answer I could come, other than that it can't get paid, but I mean, why does it make sense for us to do this? What are we supposed to look for? It seems to me what we're supposed to look for is something that is questionable, like illegal or crooked or odd. And so I said, well, what would I look at? I would look first at large stuff, and then I would look at, ideally, I'd look at the history of this particular vendor. I worked out a way that I can link any one of these to all the expenses of this particular vendor in the previous year. And then I could see whether, well, like if normally we paid this vendor $3,000 from time to time, and there's a $50,000 charge, that would be a question. It's a little bit more work to do that, so I don't usually, but it's certainly possible. Anyway, this is just actually in response to your request, David. I think you'll find this easier than looking at the raw sheet.
So this is something that Mr. Moskovich could share with us?
Yes. Well, except that I have to have permission. I'm not supposed to send all of you the same thing.
It's
But since
information.
there's
You're
no
allowed
policy-
you're allowed to send informational items.
Just
Okay.
can't debate.
We can't discuss them or but you can share information with people. And this would be quite fine to share a version of the warrant.
I was just going to ask, the bold-faced ones are the individual suppliers, right? And then underneath it are the categories, or?
It's a category. It's not,
So American Alarm provided us 135 contract services, $135.
it does look that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mrs. Cormier?
So this is just it's a summary of what we're paying, but nowhere does it show what we should be paying.
That's a moral question. How do you mean should be paid?
What's so?
You mean if they're overpaying or overcharging as
ACCO
well?
brands, right? This shows, for example, like the sum in this warrant is that we are expected to pay or being billed for $1,248. How do we know how much has been encumbered for that? Like, is that one of our responsibilities of looking at this? Of do we have
So
the
that-
funds to sign? Do we have this money? Is that part of what we're doing?
So-
Are we true? Because otherwise, I don't know what we're just looking and kind of saying
You're-
yes, we can pay this money. I'm not sure.
That information isn't here. I guess
No.
if you go back to my question to Gail about 15 minutes ago, Tracy can't actually pay for these unless she has to encumber the funds when she pays them. Is that right? So I think
So
that's the
if
muni system is supposed to,
Yeah.
my understanding, the muni system is supposed to make sure that we cannot pay an item for which there is not enough money.
So what is our approval on
Well,
this? Because we're not.
I just made, nobody told me, I just made a guess.
Yeah, but
Why do we have to do that? I assume it's a protection against fraud.
But how do we
It's a state
know?
law.
It's
It's
state
part
So
of the law.
so I know
Well,
we
that's
have
what I
to,
said.
but just hold on a second.
Is this expenditure higher than if you looked at the prior year and you saw the normal pattern for that vendor, then you can see if one of these is out of line.
But what I'm asking, for example, is like, think about it in our own house, right? I know how much Terminex is supposed to bill me because I have an agreement with them. I
Right.
know it's supposed to be so much money a quarter. So when I get that bill, I know, is this what my agreement was? So looking at these, I'm assuming there's agreements for these. So how do we know? And I guess my question is, are we responsible as school committee members signing this? Are we signing off that this is the appropriate amount of money that we have said we would, for services we've procured, and are we signing? And if that's, because to me, looking at this, obviously, right, we can't get that information, so I guess it's a broader question. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't know, maybe I'm over assuming what we're signing off on, but how do we?
No, it's a checks and balance system. So when just as Mr. Moskovich said, so when we go to pay the bills, that money has been encumbered. These are all related to what's already in the budget. When that's prepared, Gail will check it, then it comes to me, and then I sign it. and you sign it, and the town manager signs it. So there's an understanding of we all agree that this is money that we have budgeted and that we have services that were rendered to us, and we have an obligation to pay these people.
Okay, so thank you answered my question. So this is money that we've had budgeted. So there's no way looking at the warrant, at this information, at the warrant, to know if this is the money we have budgeted. So it's almost like we need another column that says, for this vendor, we budgeted this much money, and we're still
the
within
other
that.
version of the warrant, when we get, does have the account numbers listed, so we could look at the actual accounts.
In total, correct.
Yeah.
So you would not have, I'm going to use Terminex as an example, because that's the easiest. I love my Terminex person. Not in a weird way.
You love the service that they provide for you.
It's 9 o'clock. That's what
It's
9:04, we're good.
I've turned into a pumpkin. So if you think about it, every year I am going to budget pest management, agnostic as to whom it's going to be. So we went out, this is a perfect example. We went out this year, we had our 3-year contract was up with our prior vendor. We had to go out to bid. We have a brand new vendor this year. So we signed a contract not to exceed, I'm making up a number now because I don't know off the top of my head. I signed a contract not to exceed $20,000 to do pest management across the district for the entire year. I signed a contract, went through procurement, all of us, Pam, Christine O'Connor at the town, Kyle signs it as town accountant. It's in the system. It's set up to say, Gail's Pest Management, not to exceed $20,000. I popped a PO. The PO is there. I start getting invoices. We review the invoices to say, was the service performed? Yep. Does the dollar amount they're charging us agree to the contract, the rates, the hours? Yep. We then apply it against the purchase order. The way Munis is set up is if I try to overspend, it will not let me because it says your contract is for $20,000. If I try to spend $20,001, it's going to kick it and say, where's your contract? You're not authorized to spend it. So all of those checks and balances are in there. So I budgeted for pest control. I signed a contract. I opened a PO. I'm now paying against it. I don't know if that helps or hurts.
I think for me, my ability to sign the warrant rests in trusting that the superintendent's budget is a smart plan and that the finance department has capable people doing all of those things, so that when it comes to me and I have to sign off on it, I can trust it. And I realize that was difficult in the past.
Yes.
But seeing the work that has been done the past year, I have that faith in what is now happening, that I can sign it with confidence. And looking through for things that look a little odd, I can ask questions about it. There's going to be a lot of them every month from one particular food vendor because it's a revolving account. Like, we buy food every month, and they're like, I know. And one of them is always the payroll, so I also have to sign that one because they've done the work already.
And
it's in
yes,
arrears.
and the trickier, payroll does get encumbered. Payroll is the only account you can't overspend because legally you are required to pay your wages. So that is, you have to sort of put that. But we addressed and discussed all payrolls encumbered. If there was an issue, we would come forth. But all of your goods and services, we cannot put a purchase order in if the funds are not available.
So there's 2 reports we get. We get the detailed one like this, that this is rolled up from, which shows every vendor, every bill we paid.
This is just the same report
Right,
in a different
in
order.
a different format. But the second thing that we get is a separate report that's a summary. And where I get stressed out. So one of my stress points was this. So I scan it and I go, well, wow, that looks like a really big number to XYZ vendor. What's going on there? That's one of the things I think as a committee we should look for. Things that look a little out of place and ask a question. Hey, wait, what is this? So I do that. But the second thing is, in the summary, it will have another column that'll say it'll say budget amount left, or something to that effect. How much is left in that particular line item? And are we at are we negative, right? Or it shows you how much is left And it gives you a percent, I think, also, a percent that you've spent. So where I go a little nutty with this is when that number looks like we've already spent 100% of something, and it's only October. And that,
Which you could have.
which, yeah, sometimes it makes sense, right? There's something that only happens in the fall, we spent it all, it's done. You know, we bought a bunch of history books, whatever. But there are times, but where I get uncomfortable is there'll be multiple lines that say the same thing. It'll say transportation. I have no idea why that line of transportation is different than the one 16 lines below it. And the one I'm looking at says we're negative 100,000, and the one below it says we have 500,000 left. I don't know what to do with that.
The only virtue of this is at least they're all next to each other.
Right, so putting this aside, I'm just talking about the summary sheet.
Right.
The second XLS file or PDF that she sends us has multiple items that say the same thing, and sometimes we've spent 100%, sometimes we spent less. I look at that and I go, should I be worried about that? Right? You know, like, or not? As a board member, should I be worried? If something tells me that we're over 100%, I'm worried. And that's where I need help. Does that make sense? That question makes sense?
I know the ones we looked at didn't have the negative, so I will say if you were looking at last year's, because of the situation we were in, the town authorized us to negative spend because we had to pay our transportation bills or the bus would stop coming. In theory, you should not be negative. I think the tricky part is if you look at last year's, it could be an anomaly because we were given authorization because we were going through.
We all knew that we were going to overspend.
Right.
Yes.
So what about the duplicate? I mean, I
Well,
understand they're different account numbers.
Different account numbers for different purposes. Again, you've got reg ed transportation, you've got special ed in district, out of district, you have transportation for field trips. You have
Okay.
It's the limitation of the system as well because transportation is.
Yeah.
Munis doesn't care what it is, it's transportation, but you could have 17
Different vendors. Yeah.
vendors. Your homeless
yeah.
transportation, which is probably 6 or 7 vendors,
All right.
you have.
So maybe in the interest of time, I'll flag one for you when I see it. And
I think we always have the ability to then
Yeah.
ask a question about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that we can do. So I reviewed our policies. One of them regarding I printed it out and I left it at work. One of them for our payroll does say that the payroll can be signed by just the superintendent and the chair or their designee. My question is the payroll a separate warrant or wrapped up in we get them every 2 weeks? Is that a separate one that's done or can you easily separate out the payroll warrant portion versus all the other things? The second thing I was wondering, or that we can do, is that, and other school committees do this, is that the warrant can be approved we can as a committee designate or delegate the authority to initially approve the warrant so the bills can get paid, and then it has to appear on the next school committee agenda to be approved by the entire committee. We could, and currently our policy doesn't do that, but we could change our policy to allow that to happen. So 2 different things to think about. Payroll doesn't have to go through everybody. We could, currently, Pam and I could do that, which we are allowed to do right now by policy. And then second, we can, if we want to, change the policy to have it be done, the other parts of the warrant by a delegate. Just what's there? Any initial thoughts?
My concern is the amount of time it could take up in a school committee meeting going over that warrant and the amount of questions that maybe would be best served as we're doing it now and emailing Tracy individually to say, hey, what is this? Why is this here? It's just the time, I think, is my concern of what we'd be spending where we could be working on some other things.
Yeah, and if we did something like that, we definitely would need a summary report that worked for everyone, not looking through it. Like there's this 37-page warrant, right? We certainly couldn't go through that in a meeting, but that kind of lends to the fact of there's probably a view on here that really gets to the crux of what is it that is our responsibility with the warrant, that honestly looking through a 37-page report full of random account numbers that we don't know what they are, without spending a lot of research time, right? What are we really approving when we sign it? So, I mean, I think that just more leans to having a view on this that aligns with what our responsibilities are, whether they go directly to you as the chair or to all of us.
Are we legally required, does the state law require a majority of the school committee to sign the warrant?
I don't remember. That's why I printed it out and I didn't forget it.
The
No, state law allows you
the
to have a
law
delegate.
requires school committee to review and approve it. They did change it when they made a lot of the sweeping rules. It might have even been during COVID, where they allowed exactly what
delegate.
Mr.
You're
Ness
allowed
is
to
saying, is that
delegate to
you're
an
allowed to
individual.
have a delegate, and not the majority of it. So you can assign one person to be responsible for signing it. So your option is either majority or one person.
By law, we're allowed to do that. Our
Yes.
current policy comes to all of us.
And 3 need to sign.
It's
Yes.
a practical matter. It's really hard for us to pretend that we would be able to find something that is
So are we-
inappropriate.
are we better
I
served
mean, like
than-
illegal or
Are we better
theft,
served by
in
having
effect.
one person be responsible for doing that and then bringing it back to us for the final?
But why would he or she know any better
Yeah.
than all of us?
I would agree with that, Mr. Mosovich, like how I think we would be better served by figuring out, maybe it's our budget liaison, like what's a view on this that truly gets to what is it we're trying to find?
Yeah, well, so
Like,
I mean, for me, I'm where I wanted to go with it is to just understand what to look at and what to be alarmed by.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we're getting closer, and I think like a somewhat more developed version of this memo you wrote probably does that, right?
My
Where are we with
worry-
respect to, in other words, as a board, what I worry about is I don't want to be hit with this $3 million surprise in April, right? I want to know if something's going in the wrong direction in a significant way as soon as it happens.
I guess my
But I think that's what Munis is set up to say.
Yeah.
Right away. Like, it can't even come to us if that's the issue
And
at
I
this
think
point.
we've put in all the things to prevent that from happening.
Right.
My worry is the warrant comes out on a Thursday and it's due by Monday. And to be able to, which is a significant time crunch, happening so frequently that I don't know, do our finance people have the capacity to create multiple things?
I think what I want to caution, and I appreciate and respect everyone looking to develop, and I'm going to say if I look at the MOU, system-generated reports. I get nervous if we are going to ask central office staff to manually manipulate a system-generated report, because that is
Why are
riddled
system-generated reports good?
you need to rely on it. So I think what we need to do is look at what the system generated
Absolutely.
reports are and how do we get folks comfortable. I would say I understand and respect where everyone is coming from. It's a daunting task, unfortunately. Signed up for it. But we want to make sure you're comfortable with it. I would say one thing we always want to do, scan the vendors. Am I paying? Do you look at a vendor and go, the vendor doesn't pass the sniff test? You said, are you paying somebody, maybe aside from transportation, a large, crazy dollar amount? I think those are the items. I think it gets hard, and I will laugh because I had a school committee member once come to me and go, I refuse to sign this. Why is the district paying for ice cream? And I was like, well, it's food services, and it's in the lunchroom, and that's sort of what we do. So I think it's how do we help educate the committee to what is normal and expected, and how do we utilize the reports that are in Munis, as well as the confines of what Munis allows us to do, because I can't go negative. So if I'm gonna go negative on my Amazon account, I would have to do a budget transfer from another expense account, supplies and materials, to something else, but I have to live within the budget that was approved. I can't put a purchase order in if it's going to go negative. The system just will not allow me to do it. So I think what we have to do is get folks comfortable with that. There's a procurement process that we go through. We're signing the contracts, we're putting the contracts in the system, we're putting purchase orders against the contracts. And I will say I spent 3 hours today with Steve Nugent reconciling an athletics contract, because we both were like, that's really bizarre. The system's kicking it. And we looked at it, I was like, oh, well, this payment, prior year, how it got attached to contract. So we actually reconciled it, and we're like, yep, we have the money available on the contract. The system actually did not allow his admin to put the invoice in. It was like, you have no money on your contract, you can't do it. So the system is set up to catch that, to make sure you are not overspending. So by the time the warrant gets to you, those are goods delivered, services provided that we are obligated to pay. So it's how do we get folks comfortable that aren't living in the day-to-day that know it.
And I completely agree with the sentiment, like we shouldn't be creating offline reports from Eunice. So as I'm talking about these things, I'm assuming I'm not asking for anything unusual. So I would assume it's definitely I'm all for what's in the system. And then maybe we just need to use Munis too, might be it. Like maybe it's not something that can get printed out. Maybe it's where can we get into Munis and see it's something directly there. I don't know.
No. I'm going to say in the general ledger, you want to be really careful who you allow to get into the general ledger, and then I would caution against opening up Munis.
I'm kind of thinking about Deb Holman's school improvement plan, like systems and structures, right? And this feeds very well into the conversation we had about the MOA. The MOA is in place because we weren't doing some things correctly. The MOA says we will fully implement Munis because we weren't fully implementing Munis. The MOA says that we will have MCPPO certified people because it's important that you are following the procurement laws in terms of when you're designing contracts. The MOA says that anybody that purchases will go through that training. The MOA says that, what a contract, how you have a contract. So to sort of help you, so like if Munis wasn't used, so before pre-Gail, when Pam was having to do the approvals through Munis, so I would sit with Tracy and she would help me because honestly, I'm an educator, I'm not a financial person, and the first thing I would look at is what they're asking to spend. Is this budgeted? How much did they spend? And then I would look at the backups that you can attach to Munis. So is the contract attached? Did you get 3 quotes? Where you can attach your receipt. So whatever it might happen to be, that if I'm either doing an approval, if I'm doing a contract. Hopefully tonight I gave you some information to say that we have either met or we are meeting the expectations of the MOA. Again, I'm going to say we collectively as a school committee, as a school central office department, we built this budget saying that this is the amount of money we're going to spend and we have money appropriated in the right place. Gail has tried to show you through that first memo of encumbering salaries and expenses, or so at some point, what this may be hard to say is there is a retrust in the system here, with the exception of doing what Gail said, that when you look at the warrant, you look for, why is Pam Lather being paid 97 times, or who is this,
worth it.
Yeah, or right, or I don't know, some odd company that, why would a school system be paying money to this company that doesn't appear to be,
related,
a cobbler?
right? Yeah.
Like maybe why are we getting our shoes fixed, or I don't know, making something up. And then if monies are really large. So I understand and appreciate the need for checks and balances, but just as Gail said, I don't want to manipulate data. I don't want to be making reports that aren't part of the system. Unfortunately, you don't have access. You're not school employees. You don't have access to Munis, but you have done the work. You are saying that the MOA is in place. You are saying that you have built this budget, and there does have to be, again, at some point, a level of trust, and then trusting that the chief financial officer, the chief executive officer, the town manager, the finance manager, we're all signing off as well. You may not be there yet, but I do think you get to that level through the transparency in the work that you're doing.
David, in answer to what you said, I don't think this isn't the place where you check to see if the money's available. I think for the discussion, the Muni system does that. This is to check whether there's fraud or something really odd.
And I think the last part is to make sure you're not signing off on a warrant where you have a financial interest. I haven't heard of that here, but I'll pick on you because work for Merrimack. If we're making payments to Merrimack and you're looking at the warrant, you need to take a giant step back and say, am I a party to this? So the other part is to make sure you're not signing off on something that you personally have a financial
And
stake,
that-
but you would know
And that goes back to our
your ethics.
our
and-
ethics training
Yes.
that we're supposed to do.
Correct.
I do think that second Munis report that she sends is valuable. I just need to understand a little bit better how to read it. I don't want to do any extra work. I just want to know how to interpret
And
what's there.
we can, I think the only other item, I know you were questioning sort of some
Yeah.
of the cash accounts. Again, that's a sort of behind the scenes debits and credits when you were asking
Yeah.
balances. So I think we just have to look at what your role and responsibility truly is, so.
I think it is going to take a little bit of faith and trust in the capable person we have hired, who also found a capable person to do the CFO work. And I know that's hard because it didn't always exist, and that's a leap. But again, it is also goods and services have been delivered. They've done the work, and that's even if we find something, then I don't know even what happens then. I guess that's what we then have to do more work afterwards. But it's and it's people's pay. I feel like most people said they would not be in favor of changing policies to delegate one person. Am I reading the room correctly? Okay, that's fine. What about not having to worry about the payroll part of it?
I would be agreeable to that. I think that's.
I mean, it is our policy.
Well, we don't worry about it. You worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
Chair will
I think
worry
that's
about
a
it.
great
Is there a way
system.
for you to do that separate?
I'm going to, before I answer, I want to double check because I need to confirm with, some of it's how we do it, some of it's how the town does it. I just want to make sure,
Is it
Possible.
possible?
Is it possible?
That's why, is
So
it
let
possible?
me, I will take that as a takeaway.
Awesome.
Every
And-
town handles it differently, so I just want to confirm.
By policy, we're allowed to do it. I don't know if we have the software capability to do it. So if we can, that might be easier for everybody. That would make the actual thing we look at a lot shorter.
Yes, we should, software available, yes, because they're two separate systems within the software. It's just, I need to confirm how the town thinks about the warrant sign off, so I just want to
Thank you.
explore it, so I will get back.
All right, thank you, everybody. Moving on. So, new business. Can you click on the? So I have only put up on purpose the procedure, policy FFR, the procedure for naming school facilities. I put that up, and it's a little weird that was there, but I did that on purpose, and all will be revealed soon. So first I want to start by going over the second portion of this. Can you scroll down, Kristen, to existing facilities? Too many fingers.
Too many fingers.
So in summary, to name a facility in our town, we need to have a request presented in writing. We need to make public that recommendation. We need to vote to open a naming process. We then need to have 2 meetings where we solicit public comment, and then we can vote on it at the 3rd meeting. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that we have had presented to us in writing, the superintendent and I have received it, a request to name Building 1 of the ABECC after Mary Lou Connors, who was instrumental in allowing that building to get built and has been instrumental in running that building well. And the request has come from her retirement committee. So they have officially presented the request in writing on 10/6 was the request. Since this is the next school committee meeting, I am making public that recommendation, which makes it 10/9. Can you read the letter for us?
So, dear Tiffany Goddard, ABECC PTO, Pam Lathrop, and North Andover School Committee, we are writing to request that Building 1 at the Ann Bradstreet Early Childhood Center be dedicated to Mary Lou Connors in recognition of the positive impact she has had on the children and families of North Andover. We are proposing that a bronze plaque to be purchased by this committee be placed on the wall of Building 1 of the ABECC that states the following: ABECC preschool dedicated to Mary Lou Connors, founder of the ABECC, whose passion and dedication has had a lifelong impact on the children and families of North Andover. We appreciate your consideration. Please feel free to reach out to us. There's a phone number respectfully submitted by the ABCC Mary Lou Connors Retirement Committee.
So they have done the first part, we've made the recommendation public, so now the next step would be for us to open the naming the process, and then we can do public comment at the next two meetings. The one question I had was, if you go down to number 5, by my estimation, the next two regularly scheduled meetings would be 10/23 and 11/6. Number 6, and then the school committee will review and discuss input from the public and school at their next scheduled meeting, which I would believe would be 11/20. And her retirement party is on 11/20.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify, we're not looking to rename ABECC, we're just looking to dedicate
it.
one, okay.
Building
One building, building 1.
What is building 1?
That's the original
Original.
building that the preschool is in.
So, okay, that was the very first one before the kindergarten.
Yes.
It got expanded with the kindergarten. Got it.
So I hesitate to ask this, but often there are policies that you don't name things for people who are alive. I asked my mother about this, God knows, 300 years ago. I said, why would you do that? And she said, it's much safer that way. You never get in a situation where they do something that embarrasses you. But I just wonder if we have a rule about that.
If you scroll up, Kristen, nope,
Right above 2.
right above in the existing facilities,
Keep going.
right here. In the case where, a recommendation in memory of an individual will not be considered for 5 years, but it doesn't say anything about a living individual.
Yeah. We only have a policy about if the person's passed, you have to wait 5 years after they've passed before you can name it.
And also the policy about Hall of Fame nominations does supersede this, but there's a 5-year rule on the Hall of Fame induction as well, because when you get inducted to the Hall of Fame, there is a naming portion of that as well. So we are following, the reason why I share this is to make sure that we are following the policy as directed. So the next step would be to a motion and a vote to open the naming process.
Can I ask another question?
Mhm.
Do we have a biography that we can discuss?
A biography of,
Mary Lou Connors.
I don't have one, but I could get one for you.
And ideally, we would have on the 23rd and the 6th, people come and provide us with that necessary information so we would know Mary Lou Connor as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could do one off the top of my head because I've known her for a very long time, and as could Lynn. And I think I could fill this room with the amounts of people's lives that she's touched and the amount of time that she's spent here. And really, I think she might have started the preschool program in North Andover. But yes, we can get that for you.
And that is the exact purpose of why we have it for 2 meetings and not just a follow-up meeting next time.
Okay, so you're looking for just a motion to open up the naming process. I move that we open up the naming process for Building 1 at the ABECC. Is that?
That suffices.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Discussion. So again, the next 2 meetings where we will hopefully hear some public comment, maybe we can reach out to those individuals.
Yep.
10/23 and 11/6, and then we will have the vote on the 20th based on the information that we have then received. Mr. Moskovich.
Yes.
Mrs. Sams.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the MASC delegate, and this one is, thank you, Mr. Moskovich, for willing to do this. We have the MASC annual conference is coming up. Can you scroll down just a little bit more?
About a
And
week
there will
after.
be the annual business meeting or the delegate assembly. If we would like to have representation there, we need to officially name that person by October 20th, so we need to do it tonight. Mr. Moskovich is willing to be that delegate.
Right. This involves no expense on the district's part.
Yes, he gets to go and vote for us at the delegate assembly.
I love that.
So I do not think this requires a second read because he's just representing us it's not policy, but just representing us. So we can do it in one appointing of him.
I hesitate to make this more difficult, but of course,
We
what
have
it
to do it.
votes on, no, what the assembly votes on is what positions does MASC take on education issues at the State House?
Yep. And we trust that you would represent us well.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we appoint Dr. Moskovich to that role.
I second.
Thank you. Mr. Moskowitz, do you accept?
I accept.
Do you promise to do us well?
Yes, I would. I do.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? Mr. Moskowitz?
Well, I feel I should abstain.
My mom always told me, if you don't vote for yourself, who else is going to vote for you?
All right, I vote yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. So we're getting to budget directives, and I lost my pieces of paper. I don't know what I did, because they were here with me and they're gone, but I have the one that I needed, so that's good. So before we get into budget directives, last time we said we were going to start new, and then we sort of pulled a fast one on you, and we have something for you to look at. But really the thing that we have for you to look at is just the formatting of how we would think would be a good way to structure it, and then some possibilities developed by the superintendent and her team. But of course, all those things could be adjusted. But before we get into it, tonight we'll be discussing the creation of the budget directives for fiscal year 2027. So each year, the school committee provides these directives to guide the development of the superintendent's proposed budget. They serve as our roadmap, ensuring that our financial planning aligns with the district's values and priorities. These directives are rooted in our shared commitment to fiscal responsibility, educational excellence, and student success. They're meant to strike a thoughtful balance, addressing student needs and instructional priorities, while also being mindful of the town's fiscal realities. We know that our budget is more than a financial document. It's a reflection of what we value as a community. It shapes class sizes, support for students, the quality of our instructional materials, and the programs that prepare students for success beyond high school. As we craft directives tonight, I'd like us to think about whether they clearly express our expectations and priorities of the year ahead. Do they reflect our continued investment in high-quality teaching and learning? Do they address areas where we know we have unmet needs, such as special education and reading support? And do they help us build a sustainable path forward for the district? Once finalized, these directives will guide the superintendent and her team as they begin building the fiscal year 27 budget. This is an important step in setting the tone and direction of our work in the months ahead and ensuring that every dollar we allocate helps move North Andover Public Schools closer to its goals.
So I hate to ask this, but what does DIP mean?
Yep, so what we did was
Before you, I think,
I'm sorry. So were you just? Is that a policy, or is that just your?
Those
that's
my
just
remarks.
your remarks as a school committee member about the process.
and for people watching to know what we are doing and why.
Okay.
So what does DIP
So in constructing the table, the three big areas in terms of the fiscal responsibility, educational excellence, and student success are the aligned to the district improvement goals, number 1, number 2, and number 3, that Kristen shared with us last week. So we just thought having the budget directives aligned to the district improvement goals would help us be streamlined.
Okay. So these are ones that Superintendent Lathrop and Joe already came up with?
so you had asked last time for some examples of what we might do. So this is just some examples of where, like, to give you some direction so that you weren't starting with a blank sheet of paper, thinking about, you asked me for like some guidance, so like what I might what thought. So if we think about the goals, I often say that our budget should complement the goals that we're doing. So here's just sort of some ideas that you could throw this away and say you don't like it at all, but it's just maybe to start your thinking.
And when do we need to have this? I know this is a first read, but when do we need to have this finalized? Do we have time for a third read if
Yes.
need be?
That's why I decided to move it up to this meeting and not, usually it would be the next meeting and the meeting after, but I wanted to start at one meeting earlier so we have ample time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
In your packet, you received the FY27 budget calendar that was approved at the select board meeting this past Monday. So this is now the budget calendar going forward. So you can see when the, school committee needs to vote on their school budget January 30th, 2026.
This is not a proposal. These are
These are
examples.
just
Ideas.
ideas,
In terms of like
just
how
to
we
maybe
could-
get your
how they
minds
could look.
thinking a little bit. And I know our students stayed all night because we asked the students if they had any budget directives.
Thank
So
you, Ally.
Yes.
maybe
I'm
give her
waiting
some
to hear
opportunity
these.
to chat first, might be
So,
nice.
Earlier this week, once we had put together the agenda, I reached out to our student representatives to make sure to be here to share their ideas about what they think their priorities are and what they would want students to advocate for. So,
All right.
It was right before this in your packet.
I emailed out to class board which was impossible to find all their emails. I got some responses, mostly not. I asked student council, and I asked a lot of people I knew out and about. And I was like, what would you prioritize if you could have your dream budget? So some of the responses are kind of odd, but I just kind of have what they have. So a lot of them really appreciate the arts. So drama guild, band, chorus, color guard, and general art classes within the school, like ceramics and all of that. So another thing was sports, funding to all the programs, which I know we do, but I play a sport that doesn't have a facility at the school. I drive 30 minutes every day to get to my sport, so it is kind of difficult. Curriculum, specifically business and financial literacy. So we're one of the few schools that doesn't have an AP economics class or a financial literacy class like that. So Louine really likes that one. There's a lot of IEP and 504 support on here. So there's concerns that students should have sufficient support regarding IEPs and 504s.
Sorry, what do you want to spell that out in a little more detail? What do you mean?
So having proper support for an IEP. So mine basically says access to focus when needed. And so focus is that place within school. And basically just making sure you have access to that. You have proper access to everything you need 100% of the time. So
another way you might be saying that is that making sure that IEPs and 504s are fully implemented.
Yeah, perfect. I didn't write that, but that's a great way of saying it.
It takes
because I've got to say what you meant.
It's not my first rodeo.
Half of this is 3 people writing on a document while we're listening.
Yeah, of course.
So, Chromebook repairs. So mine, for example, I have to hard reset it every 2 hours for it to work successfully, and I've had it since I think 6th grade.
8 more months.
8 more months, yes. But I've been doing that every single day since last year.
And can I ask you a question? What do you do? So my question is, what do you do when you have a problem with the Chromebook?
I have to hard reset it, so you have to...
No. I mean, you want your Chromebook repaired. So what, do you have an avenue? Do you know, as Allie Roberts, as a student at North Andover High School, what to do if you would like your Chromebook repaired?
Versus having to do the hard reset instead, just how do you get it when fixed?
Yeah, so they don't really give you a new one unless your screen is broken or you're it's completely in half. They try a lot of things first. They mess with it a lot.
So I guess my question to you is this: do you go downstairs to IT, or do you have a system where you put in what we would call a ticket, like a help desk?
Typically, we just go down to IT.
You go down to IT.
Tickets don't really work that well. I'll be completely honest.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was an aside just for me.
You're good.
We're trying to work on those things.
It's really funny. One of my friends has to open theirs at a specific angle for the screen to not turn neon green. It's very funny.
Not so much.
It's a little funny. Language programs was a big one. I'm in German, which has had its time. I know a lot of people love that, and the German club has really taken off again this year. I think instead of having 10 or 15 people, we have almost 30 now, which is great. And then unified programs. So this year we also have had one of our most successful unified programs, like unified basketball, where special education kids and normal kids will get together and play basketball. And the student section was full at our first game against Methuen, and a lot of my teachers were there, so that was really great. I think personally for me, I didn't really write much stuff down just because it's yeah, I agree with most of this. But I do think that really keeping in mind making sure people enjoy school is more important too. With those extracurriculars, not extracurriculars, but the art classes and stuff, people really love those classes. Digital fabrication's a class that we have where you can build stuff. my friend built a birdhouse, my other friend built a table. Like, having those classes is really important as a break within the school day.
And those are your electives?
Those are electives at school. Yeah, they're great. That's kind of all I have down.
Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you. Just to make sure, I'm going to say what I think you heard and then correct me when I'm wrong.
All right.
Priorities for students are continued access to electives like arts. Yes. More courses in terms of business and financial literacy.
Yes.
Appropriate funding for IEP and 504 supports.
Yes.
Appropriate funding for Chromebook and technology repairs.
Yes, please.
And you value language programs.
Yeah.
Did I miss? And sports.
And sports.
Uniform.
And unified programs.
Specifically
Unified programs.
Sports and enjoying school, like, so the electives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
the
just-
electives.
Yeah, Miss Ando has put them all on the.
Yeah.
Oh, that Miss Ando.
Not helpful when the screen's behind me. I was paying attention to Allie.
But yeah, great. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Can I do that? How many students do you think you talked to? Like roughly, like, was it 5 or 20?
So,
just trying to get a gauge.
I emailed every single class board member. That's 21 people. And then student council, I think I asked a total of like 20 people. And then at swim today, they couldn't get in the pool unless they told me one.
See, there you go. Perfect.
That was my little thing today. Yeah.
So like 20 people, so like 20, 25 people, do you think you heard from?
Oh no, more like 50
Okay,
or
perfect.
something like that.
Okay, awesome.
Because
So it's a
also
pretty good-
Louine and
okay.
Han, they all
Yep.
talk to people.
Just trying to get a gauge. This is a pretty good.
Allie, can I ask you a question? So you talked about sports funding for all programs. So you mean things like, so you specifically talked about your swimming, right? Your swimmer.
Yeah.
And so in order to get to swim practice,
It's-
you have to go to a different facility
Yeah.
that is a cost that you bear.
Yeah, it's not like we don't want like a pool to be built. It's just like you know what I mean. Like some of our programs are more funded than others, like within sports. So it like would be
And in your team practice is actually 2 different facilities.
yeah.
So is transportation the?
I think it's not even just about some. I think it's just a lot of like some teams get way more funding than others. Like you can kind of tell, like not like explicitly, but like you can see which programs are like more important to people at school, and like what looks like it gets more funding.
And some of that is
Yeah.
fundraising prowess that we need to address through our fundraising policies as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Grand.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. I mean, I emailed you, I think, on Monday.
Yeah.
So thank you to
Yeah.
the 3 of you for getting that done for us tonight. It's really valuable information. I really appreciate it.
Now go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Yeah. Swim meet tomorrow, guys.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Break it early. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty.
So are you looking for input on this?
Yeah, like, again, these were just some possibilities in terms of like how the statements could be worded to help give you some guidance, but
So.
whatever you would like to do with the list, we can do with the list.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I mean,
And Kristen's gonna take notes for us.
taking into consideration in time, do we want to maybe collaborate ideas to discuss next time, or do you want ideas now, knowing we're well over time?
Could we do something in between? Is there something at the top of your mind that you would want to, maybe we don't think about deleting anything right now, or wordsmithing, but is there things that pop in your head now that we would want to include in the next 5 minutes or so? And then we can, between now and then, email Michelle to add other things to the list, and then we can sort of start to combine things that way.
That's fine. At 9:45 tonight, I'm not going to be able to collaborate on this. So this is something I'm going to have to email on.
That's absolutely
and put
fine.
some more thought into.
Is there things that you would want to add to the list initially?
Yeah, I can quickly rattle off
Yeah.
just some things. When I looked at this earlier, just budget process improvements, which we've already gone quite a bit into, but I think that ought to be a part of the goal, which I think they're good, but they just should be part of our goal. I guess another big one for me is transportation and energy utilization effectiveness. Are we being as effective and efficient as we can with our transportation and with our use of energy? And then, I guess looking at last year's directives too, there was one on here about whether it basically says whether Facilities Master Plan 2 is still in sync with our operational vision. And I'm
I'd
wondering
say
if,
that facilities master plan too has been sort of, it's not defunct, but it got scrapped a little bit because of the
Rejiggered?
fact, yeah, what'd you say, rejiggered?
rejiggered.
Yeah, because of Kittredge School, and that was necessarily part of it, so I think that's like a whole bigger conversation.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't really belong in here. All right. No, that's it.
I would add, in terms of educational excellence, make sure we get funding for any additional HQIM products that we need to invest in. If we decide Odell, or if we decide an open site, or whatever it is, we need to make sure we have that money.
I think along with that, making sure we have the money for professional development for those programs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is that HQIM, to do it right, requires a fair bit of professional development and perhaps more coaching. And I don't think we're really gonna know just yet. I mean, the process that in our special education subcommittee we've been talking about is using the longitudinal data about school, how children progress from one grade, through each grade and from one grade to another. When you look at that data, there are clear areas of success and some areas of the opposite. And we've been talking about having Kristen lead, walkthroughs to sort of figure out why are some places doing really well, why are others not doing really well. And there could well be financial implications of that, which we're not going to know until it happens. But it'd be a shame to not put some of that in this year's budget if it turns out that there are things that are sort of screaming out, that are really clear from that. We ought to have the flexibility to include them.
And I ask you that you think about the school improvement plans. I think you heard from both Principal Gonzalez and Principal Holman today about some potential financial implications that might be because of their plan. So, like, one of the reasons I wrote allocate resources for reading and special education was based off of the special education presentation that Lynn did for you, where rightly so, some of you brought up perhaps we have a larger proportion of students receiving special education services than we should, and that might sort of lead us to believe that we should have early intervention in reading. So that was sort of where that genesis of that came from. So I'm sort of asking that maybe you consider some of the requests or some of the presentations that you heard and think about that. But then also a reminder that, 57 budget directives is going to make, we're going to have every color of the alphabet this year, and I'd like to only have one color.
So some of the work will be combining
Yes.
these things into succinct statements.
Into succinct. But this is just to get your brains
Just to
thinking.
start.
Yeah, 'cause it's how do we put sort of guardrails around exactly like this? So allocate resources for reading and special education, which sounds like exactly what we need to be doing. But what kind of guardrails do you need around that for exactly that point, right? Like, how do we?
Well, I guess
Say,
what
is
your
that?
directives are is helping me when I work with our team and Gail and Kristen and Greg and our and Lynn to drive what we bring forth to you. So I'd like, if you tell me that, you're concerned about the reading, that perhaps we have an over-identification of special education or we have a larger proportion of students, it leads me to believe that perhaps we need more resources in reading, because we've heard that. So that might be what we work with the principals in terms of bringing forth to you, right?
One of the things I would like to see up there is like something about just protecting electives at the high school. I value it. I think kids value it. The opportunities outside core subjects.
Can we add something around based on actual enrollment? Because I think just kind of as we protect the ones that students actually end up taking. So I think whether it's electives or world languages, or as we offer these things, that we're offering ones that actually get taken.
It's a really good question, right? And I also think that I want to couple that, I guess, myself, sort of, Allie, because I would have said the exact same thing that you said probably 10 minutes ago. But when I listen to Allie, there are probably some electives that have a small amount of students that are in that elective, but the benefit of that elective. So I guess I might ask you, and that's something we have to wrestle with, right? And there may be some creative ways to continue to offer some of those electives that really seem to be a benefit to kids, but not at a cost, not at the extreme cost, right? So I'm going to say that the educational finance class that Kristen and I are in, that is one of the things that they're really pushing us to look at, is actually how much you're spending on something, what's your cost value for it, and are there alternative ways to
fulfill it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And also, do we have something up there? HQIM for tier 2, or the equivalent of rich tier 2 interventions, I think is really important for us to do some work around in terms of the quality of curriculum materials that people have access to do that type of work. It saves us money in the long run if we can keep kids out of tier 3. If they need it, and that's great, but it's less expensive.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you either can feel comfortable continuing to add to this list.
Yep.
It's a live document for all of you, or other things that you want to send.
And again, we chose the priority areas aligned to the district improvement goals, and that was just the streamlining of it to
And
make
it-
sense.
You know, there could be something else,
Yep.
right? There could be, the safety and security, safety, right? Maybe we need to think about a budget directive that is, do we have safe and secure schools? I'm just,
As an example.
As an
Yeah.
example.
as an example.
Any final thoughts? We'll continue the discussion next time. Mr.
Brown.
Kittredge Elementary School, Building School Committee update.
All right. Okay, so I'll try to be as succinct as I can because I know it's late. So what is happening is the Mass Association of School Committees has made some new funding of. Let me read it. It's better just do that. At the MSBA's August Board of Directors meeting, MSBA Board of Directors approved increasing certain funding caps to different project budget categories in order to assist with decreasing costs. This is worded so. Decreasing costs that are considered ineligible for reimbursement. So the other way to think of it is increasing the amounts we can get back is much more clear. So in doing this, the difference between the reimbursement rate they put on a community versus what we'll actually receive at the final project audit will get tightened up. So basically,
Say that again.
let me put it in plain English.
That was plain enough. It just, you were talking faster than I was understanding.
Oh, okay. So basically, they are increasing the funding caps. More money is available to us. Raising them, right? So more money will be available to us. However, that does not take place until January.
So the Globe had a story the other day about
Mr.
how...
Moskowitz, could we let Mr. Brown get through the whole thing first?
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
it's
Okay.
directly related to what he's just talking about. That's
Well,
all
I
right.
think the next paragraph's important, and maybe after that.
Okay.
In order to take advantage of the newly increased funding caps, which could result in upwards of $2 million additional dollars of reimbursement to us, right, for Kittredge Elementary School project, we asked the committee, the Kittredge Building Committee asked to push off the submission to December. It was going to be in October. But if we continue with it in October, we won't have that opportunity to get that extra $2 million.
It
No,
seems
that's a
like
little-
an
that's a
easy
little-
call.
We were supposed to present in December.
Sorry, December
And we've asked to push that off to spring of February.
to February. My apologies. Yes,
okay.
we were going to submit in December. We now have asked for permission to wait until February. It won't affect, it doesn't affect the overall schedule. It doesn't affect our ability to bring this up at town meeting. It doesn't have any impact at all. It's just later than we had originally said we were going to do it. And so I asked Phil, wait, what if they say no? Are we still prepared to present in December like we had planned? And the answer is yes. We will still be able to submit even if they were to not approve our ask for this. However, he said that on a preliminary basis, they've told him that they're very likely to approve it. So it's a very, very low risk thing for us to do. And
So-
it could get us $2 million extra of reimbursement.
What I was going to say was that this article said that when you looked at certain limits that that are imposed on schools. As a practical matter, since urban construction is more expensive, that despite the intention of having the state's percentage of cost be greater for low-income schools, as a practical matter, that isn't happening because some of these limits are much harder on urban systems than ours. And so that makes it's hard to reconcile that with what you're saying. It's consistent with what you're saying, that they're easing certain limits. The implication of the story was
I think
that
there's
it wouldn't
two different
affect
things.
us.
So, like, I read that story too. So I
Yeah.
think that what that story was trying to say is that it is harder for urban school districts to get through the MSBA project because you have to have the portion that your town is going to pay, and it's harder for their town to come up with those fundings.
Well, that was one of them, but the other reason is because the construction is inherently more expensive in dense areas.
Correct. Yep.
But for our purposes.
That wouldn't affect, but the second thing wouldn't affect us, right?
Right.
Went in was kind of concerned if would this impact our ability? Was there going to be a
No,
shift
no,
of
no.
not wanting to fund suburban
No.
schools as much? Because it's
Yeah, we are in the process. We
We're
are
in there, so
well
this
in.
isn't
We've been
gonna-
accepted in
okay.
MSBA. We have nothing to be worried about.
So for our purposes here, the important thing is we were going to submit and try and get approval in December. Right. However, if we wait until after January 1st, and if we get approval after January 1st, we get $2 million more.
Up to $2
Up to
million.
$2 million more.
Yeah.
So we're going to hopefully wait to do that.
The board, the Kittredge School Building Committee voted to
Do that.
do that. So
And
we
then-
have submitted a letter requesting an extension till February.
Perfect.
And we will probably get an official decision on that prior to the December meeting.
Okay.
So if for some bizarre reason they were to say no, we could
We're
still
still ready.
present our schematic design. What this is about is presenting the schematic design.
Do you require any action from us at this point?
No, this is information.
So we have a plan in place where we can get up to $2 million more for the school building. of
Correct.
Kittredge.
Correct.
Thank you.
And then the only other thing I want to say, so we have now approved a construction budget of $63.2 million and a total project budget of $79.8 million. Those numbers include a reduction of $2.8 million, almost $3 million, of value engineered scopes of work, which I talked about last time.
Great.
And that's it.
Thank you.
so the schedule still allows us to be ready for town meeting, which is on May 12th.
Correct.
May 12th,
2026.
2026.
Thank
Correct.
you.
Correct.
Continued business, superintendent's goals.
So in your packet, you have, oops.
In our packet.
Sorry.
Sorry.
It's late. I got a little punchy.
In our packet, we have an updated version of the superintendent's goals. Thank you to members of the committee for sending that feedback. Superintendent Lathrop has made some adjustments based on the feedback we provided her. Just a reminder, like all educators across the Commonwealth, she has a student learning goal and a professional practice goal. And then additionally, she has two district goals, number 1 and number 2. Can you walk us through what you've done?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Just as Mr. Hicks said, I took into consideration some of the things that you asked. One of the things that was asked, so that's highlighted in yellow on the goals that I've shared with you. I didn't leave the original, so I'm sorry about that. I just highlighted what I changed. In my professional practice goal, which was about engaging in the new superintendent induction program and participating in some of the Leading Now and Merrimack Valley superintendents work, you asked me about my superintendent's entry plan that I have to do. I have to create that as part of being in the new superintendent induction program. So I linked my entry plan for you. I also printed that out. You'll see it here, superintendent's entry plan here. What I'm going to say is, and I think Jane alluded to this, my coach from NINSEP when she was here, most superintendents are in their first year of superintendency when they're part of the new superintendent induction program. In many ways, I'm in my second year, and a lot of this that I've in the entry plan I had already started doing last year, and it sort of goes in correlation too. So I didn't spend a lot of time where I think other superintendents might talking about their entry plan, but I did link it here for you, and Michelle printed it off so you see. But it basically is talking about, like, there's a letter about, what I'm doing. There is some rationale for my entry plan, the purpose, the approach, which is really listening, a learning and listening tour, reviewing key district documents, and then the timeline of what that might look like. So that's for your review. Also in the goals, under the student learning goal, there was some conversation or some requests to look at the benchmarks and look at longitudinal data. One of the things I just want to say about the student learning goal is that I just want to sort of like draw your attention to that my intention in this school and what I see as my role as the superintendent is looking at this as sort of that 30,000, view, and that I'm really focused on the implementation, the effective use of high quality instructional materials across all grade levels and all content areas. We've put a big focus, we've really been very elementary minded. We have a focus in the middle school and high school this year. And my goal is really ensuring that educators receive the professional development that they need in terms of high quality instructional material, the coaching to internalize this information, to deliver it with fidelity. And I also believe that this will help strengthen the coherence, and that my goal is about monitoring the impact of high quality instructional material on student engagement and achievement. So there were questions about data, and I have added that here. But we also, I think a lot of that is part of the district improvement plan, and there's progress monitoring that's part of that as well. But you'll see in yellow the areas that I changed here to include longitudinal data. Then in finance and budgeting, you asked me to present monthly instead of quarterly, so I've changed that all to monthly. I've added the adherence to the MOU in here. That's the only change there. And then in the strategic plan, there were some questions about the TLA, the Program Teaching Learning Alliance that we're using. And it appeared as though the plan was sort of like they were going to go off and do this work, and that then they were just going to present it to you and no impact. So I sort of expanded on that, just want to draw your attention to their partner that's working with us. But one of the very first things that we'll establish is a strategic planning committee, and that will have representation of students, staff, school board, families, community members, community partners, municipal representatives, and that committee is really driving a lot of the work. So with the strategic plan, I've included in your packet a little bit more information for you about TLA and the real scope of what that work will look like, so that you can see that. One of the reasons why that I chose this company is because they're not doing the work for us. They're really just gathering the data for us, and then it's that strategic planning committee, it's their job to look at the priorities that we hear from the town, from the community, and to create the strategic plan. They'll guide us, they'll coach us, but it really puts the work back in our hands. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. How much does the consultant cost to do all this?
So this consultant is a $20,000 commitment for us. I knew that this was something I wanted to do, and we heard from people at just about every public comment about a 5-year strategic plan. So this was part of the budget, put forth for FY26. So we have the money to be able to cover this. We went through the procurement process. We still have not signed the final contract yet. We looked at other, we put this out to bid, or we looked at other companies that do similar work to make sure that there wasn't somebody that was cheaper that could do similar work. The other reason I looked at school systems and superintendents that I trust. So I think I may have mentioned at one point that I had been in close contact with the superintendent of Newton last year, and the year before. She had reached out when I first took on this role, and sort of like a quasi-mentor on the side, just like a good person to touch base with. I consulted with her. This is a company that they used in Newton. I've talked to some other superintendents. And the people that run this are all either recently retired or retired former superintendents who really they have a connection to the work. It's just not some company that doesn't understand education.
Do I remember from something you said to us that at that price we are not actually required to bid it?
We have to.
Ceiling, I thought it was 100,000.
Anything over $10,000 requires you
Oh, okay, I just misread it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the goals?
So I just wanted to say that this process, I thought it worked very nicely, and I appreciate the way that the superintendent did it, to sort of give us a first crack and then let us think about it, and then the way she incorporated, I think that works well. At least I think it did.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
I move
Go ahead, Ed.
to accept the superintendent's goals for the year.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Lathrop, for all your hard work in constructing those. Any other discussion? Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. You may now pursue your goals.
Go for it.
Can she wait till tomorrow morning?
But you can sleep tonight first.
Thanks.
Thank you. Public comment? Member comments? Town meeting, May 12th, probably at 6:30. Please be ready for that. Get a babysitter. Entertain a motion?
I would love to, I'd love to make a motion to adjourn, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. Thank you. Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you all.
I'm only 35 over.